Welcome back once again to Nippert Stadium. Joel Myers, Trevor Maddich, back in Cincinnati, the 5th oldest ballpark in Division 1A football, and it is a beauty of an on-campus facility. Tough start to the day for the Conference USA fans. Big East, big winners, Boston College over Army, and welcome to those of you that just watched that game on Fox Sports Net. College football Saturday. We've got baseball weather in Cincinnati once again. Temperature in the early 80s, about 82 to 83 degrees, and Paul Pasqualoni leading his squad on the road for the first time this year in his 10th season at Syracuse. 7 bowl games for the squad over his first 9 seasons, with a 5-2 record in those postseason affairs. Rick Mitter on the other sideline, just like Paul Pasqualoni, a former defensive coordinator, former defensive coach. He was defensive coordinator at Notre Dame before he took over. He's in his 7th season at Cincinnati. Only the 3rd coach to take the Bearcats to a bowl game when they won the Humanitarian Bowl back in 1997. But a very warm and muggy afternoon. And once again, we talk about depth. It is going to be a key consideration because of the humidity factor. Humidity 85-90%.
Especially on the front sevens of both of these defenses, because both teams have a personality that they want to run the ball and smash mouth the opposing defense. They do it differently though, Joel. Syracuse will do it from all kinds of multiple sets with power tight end formations, running a lot of big guys at you, whereas Cincinnati will spread the field with wide receivers and come after with the spread rushing attack.
Now Ben Kozik is going to be kicking it off. Last week, the Orangeman went with Pete Ferris, but he had a couple of squib kicks that didn't work out. So Kozik gets the call to start the day. Syracuse won the coin toss, but they want their defense on the field first, deferred their option to the second half. Antonio Chapman, the speed threat, going back. He's got Ray Jackson on one side, DeMarco McCleskey on the other side, if it is a short one. And we're ready to go. Conference USA and the Big East getting together. And it's going to be Chapman putting it on the ground, in trouble inside his 5. Look out. And what an ominous beginning. This reminds me of what happened last week. First play for Deontay Kenner. Stepped on his center, Doug Rossfeld, and lost about 5 yards. So offensively, Kenner needs 107 yards passing today to move into 2nd place on the all-time yardage list for Cincinnati quarterbacks. 239 to start the season last week. Murphy, Weinheimer, Rossfeld, Doolin, Gardner up front. The experience from Rossfeld and Doolin in the center and right guard. And the skills. Gardner in the backfield in front of Ray Jackson at 108 yards rushing last week. Chapman, Collins Baker, the wideouts, and Ashley Hunt was not a factor in the first half, but boy did they look for the tight end of the second half. He had 4 catches. So Cincinnati 1st and 10. Back at their own 3-yard line. So already a long field uphill battle. Ray Jackson bouncing and getting only a yard to the 4. Experience up front defensively as Duke Pettijohn made the stop, and he's the senior leader, first team all Big East last season. Missed last game just like Eric Downing did, or making Ricky Simpkins did. Downing, Freeney also up front. The linebackers, well, Smith and Greenwood out of the same high school. We'll talk about that on Long Island. J.R. Johnson, the other one in that threesome. Allen on the corner, just like Hunter. And the safeties Ford and Harris. 2nd and 9, back at the 4-yard line of Cincinnati. Jackson trying to spin for a couple of extra. Gets it to the 6. Moreland Greenwood making the stop, the senior from Freeport, New York. He is a 4-year starter for Paul Pasqualoni. Ray Jackson, a couple of years in Michigan. Well, he had to wait, so it's almost like his first game in 2 years, because his previous year at Michigan 2 years ago only got into the first game, got hurt. So it was almost like waiting 2 years, like DeMarco McCleskey, and did he make the most of it?
He did, and he had a great game after starting a bit slowly last week against Army. He'll need to have a great game because Syracuse's defense is so fast.
In the first half, as you mentioned, Trevor, 9 carries for only 13 yards for Jackson. On the draw, Syracuse stays at home in a punting situation. For 3 running plays, even with a senior quarterback, Cincinnati didn't want to gamble deep in their own territory and put it up.
Now, the worst thing that they can do is let Syracuse jump to an early lead. Cincinnati needs to keep this close so that they can use their entire offensive and defensive packages and not play from way behind. So to punt it away in the opening series, this is a good conservative move by Rick Minter.
Adam Wolfick ready to get into it. Malik Campbell, the junior from Buffalo, waits for the Orangemen. Should get good field position. Wolfick off the side of his foot. It heads to the boundary a bit of a break, taking an extra 6 or 7, 8 yards almost on the roll for Cincinnati. And now Syracuse offensively gets it just outside of their own 49. They've got the sophomore from Butler, Pennsylvania. It's just about a 30-minute drive from Pittsburgh, Troy Nunes, who we talked about at the top of the telecast. Only was 5 of 8 last week. Didn't need to throw the ball against Buffalo. Up front, Alexander and Smith, the experience on the left side with Romeo O'Connor and Joe Burton. And in the backfield, Trevor was talking about D. Brown. 5th 100-yard rushing effort of his career last week behind Scott, Manley, Woodcock, and Billy Campbell are the wide receivers. The option attack of the Orangemen. Nothing fancy about that. And on the running play, it's James Mungro, who was out last week like 4 other Orangemen who were suspended because of a violation of team policy. Talk about that a little bit later. Defensively, Peak, who we documented at the top of the show, Lee, Thompson, and Adams in the 4-3 alignment for Rick Minner. Troy Evans, Willis Edwards, and Isaac Thomas. Now, Edwards is going to be spotlighted because Eddie Johnson, the senior from Kirkland, Washington, is injured. He starts, and Johnson calls the signals. Gary Ruff gets the start over Freddie Smith. Separated shoulder for Smith in the secondary, so he's gone for 4 weeks. The option at Nunes looks like he may be able to get the first down marker and will. Chopped down inside the 40 of the 39 by DeJuan Gossett, the free safety. So the early game plan, Trevor, for the Orangemen.
First, they have to defend the run against Cincinnati's spread offense. They've got to execute their offensive option against the blitz because Cincinnati will try to pressure it with the blitz, which is high risk. And Nunes needs to get the ball into the hands of the proper running backs and wide receivers. Cincinnati will be pressed at the line of scrimmage by the wide receivers. They must break that. They've got to have their defense in the right place against that option and watch out for the gadget plays.
That is D. Brown's first carry of the day. And the little guy, 5'11", 215 pounds, a senior from Altamont Springs, Florida, with the big gain for another first down, almost 11 on the carry, spun down finally by Isaac Thomas.
Because there's a little cross block between the guard and tackle, and D. Brown just busts it right up inside. The last play, they had the corner made cleanly on the option. And so this time with the defense spread out, they ran D. Brown right up the middle.
From the 28, it started at the 49, back-to-back running first downs. Mungro, good blocking out in front. Into the secondary, makes it look too easy right now, making it look too easy for the Orangemen. Gossett again. If we call the name of Gossett the free safety and Gary Rupp the strong safety too often, you know it's a tough day for the Bearcats.
And Cincinnati will have a real tough day if they can't stop this running attack. Their defense is good enough to slow up Syracuse's offense as long as they can do it in short spurts. If Cincinnati's defense has to stay on that field for too long, there's going to be a lot of points scored by Syracuse.
Syracuse ran it for 305 yards last week against Buffalo. Nothing available that time.
And he picked.
That was D. Brown losing a yard, so finally they stuffed the run. Big play by Willis Edwards, 7 for Eddie Johnson.
Then the first play, Mario Mons is going to drive the center, Nick Romeo, right back and close down that hole. Now, Mons did not start this game. He missed all of last week against Army because of a sprained knee, and they will need number 90, Mario Mons, to stuff up that middle to allow other players to come in and make those plays.
See if they try to get Nunes out on the edge. They shift the tight end. Graham Manley. This is the first third down for the Orangemen. 3rd and 4 from the 22. And his first throw of the day as he's flushed out underneath. It's not going to go for the first down. Big hit on Malik Campbell. Stopped well short of where he needed to go. Only back to the original line of scrimmage. And Troy Evans wouldn't quit on the play, the senior from Cincinnati.
This is Mario Mons again. This is the 2 plays he's been in, and he disrupted both of them. It's Mons, number 90, that forced Nunes to throw the ball early, and that allowed not enough separation by the wide receiver for the linebacker, Troy Evans, to come up and make that tackle.
It is going to be a 39-yard field goal attempt for Mike Schaefer, the sophomore from Sarasota, Florida. This is his first career attempt. He was their punter last year. He's taken over both duties this year. Bad snap. Gets it up in time, and it's wide left. It looked out of sync from the very beginning as it skipped back to Troy Nunes, who got it up. Could he spin the laces in time, though? That's a question mark, and it definitely affected the timing of the place kicker, Mike Schaefer. Big break for Cincinnati. Wasted field position for the Orangemen of Syracuse. College football on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by Buick and your local Buick dealers. Isn't it time for a real car? Muggy, warm afternoon on the campus of the University of Cincinnati. Joel Myers, Trevor Maddich welcomes you back to Nippert Stadium. 4.5 minutes, make it 5.5 minutes into the contest. What about the botched field goal attempt, Trevor?
Well, this ball is just on the ground. The snapper there, Mark Holtzman, is actually their backup snapper. The starter, Quasi-Lev Red, has missed all the preseason and last week's game with a bad ankle. And so he wasn't able to get that ball down. Troy Nunes is the holder.
Couldn't spin it, partner. You could see the laces. He hit the laces.
The kicker was coming, though. He didn't have time to spin it because it hit the ground. If he'd have spun that ball, the kicker might have broken his ankle trying to hit the thing.
So we continue with college football Saturday on Fox Sports Net. When we spoke with Rick Minner, he brought up the 95, 96, and 97 squads here. He said the attitude around here at that time, the defense would win it for us, set the tone last week to see the offense answer the challenge, come from behind, a big plus. Now can they answer the challenge against the veteran defensive squad of Syracuse? Run for Ray Jackson, who lost the football at the end of the play, and Syracuse comes up with it. Eric Downing getting the loose ball. The senior from Paterson, New Jersey, a transfer from Coffeyville Community College. So an early giveaway.
Well, this happens when you get so many players up on the ball carrier. That's part of what Syracuse's speed is designed to do. Number 72, Kurt Dool, is going to pull around. Ray Jackson has a nice gain here, but at this point, there's so many Syracuse defenders around that some of them hold him up and the rest strip that ball out. That's team speed on defense.
That is already the fourth fumble recovery over the first game and a quarter for the Orangemen of Syracuse. They only recovered 5 fumbles all of last season. Only scraped away 9 the entire campaign. They got into their own 20, or making the 26 of the Bearcats. Newt's in trouble and pounced on in the backfield. Antoine Peak, speed on the edge that we talked about.
Tremendous team defense. Troy Evans slow played Troy Nunes. Watch number 48. Eyeball right there. Now right there, there's no way that Troy Nunes has time to do what he wants to do. Antoine Peak then uses that speed to come all the way from the opposite side of the line of scrimmage and hit Troy Nunes in the back.
And he can thank the outside linebacker Troy Evans for really setting him up and keeping him upright.
He made the play.
Trips to the wide side for Nunes on 2nd and 11. Quarterback draw is called. Nunes, like an extra running back, does it down to the 25. He got out of the penetration of the backfield. It looked like Peak was going to get him, but he lost him around the shoulder pads.
Well, Antoine Peak is probably the fastest defensive lineman on the field. He's going to loop inside on a stunt. But Troy Nunes is a lot faster than people think. He runs about a 4.5 40, and Antoine Peak misjudges the speed of that quarterback draw. He'll be disruptive in that backfield all game long.
Another big third down, 3rd and 5, just inside the 21 for the Orangemen. Campbell doubling up. Now they send Woodcock in motion. Nunes design roll. Underneath, intercepted. Picked off. Can he go the distance? Nunes knocks him out of bounds. Anthony Thomas with the pick. What a time for Anthony Thomas to come through with the pick, the junior from Culver City, California.
Well, Troy Nunes, just a sophomore, was looking at his wide receiver the entire time. He made the play fake, he rolled out, and he didn't bother to look off Anthony Thomas. Take a look, he's just looking right there the whole time at one receiver. That's number 10, Malik Campbell. And number 27, Anthony Thomas, does nothing but very simply read the eyes of Troy Nunes.
What a turnaround for the Bearcats, especially in the war of field position. They get it at their own 46. Their 3rd possession of the game. Taking over the backfield is going to be DeMarco McCleskey. He had 90 yards last week in his first college game in 2 years. And Deontay Kenner's first pass attempt. On the outside, he's got his wide receiver, Tony Smichael. His first grab of the season for a first down to the 37. When we talked with the coaches for Syracuse, all they did was bring up Smichael. Even though he didn't play last week, that was the guy they were worried about.
They think Smichael's the most consistent guy. And Smichael breaks free here because he's the bigger, slower receiver on the deep route. The faster receiver, number 1, Antonio Chapman, actually breaks his route short. And I don't think the Syracuse defensive backfield expected Smichael, number 5, to be the guy to go deep.
First down at the Orangemen, 37. Michael's the motion man. He had 45 catches last year to lead Cincinnati. Short drop snap, a little too tall for Antonio Chapman at 5'8", 170 pounds. Now, they also told us that they wanted a ball control passing attack. Pasqualoni and meeting Cincinnati back in '98. They had 9 possessions, 9 touchdowns. They dominated that game. 637 yards of total offense for Syracuse, the second most in school history the last time these two teams got together.
And a lot of these junior and senior Cincinnati Bearcats played on that team that Syracuse embarrassed.
Kenner was in that game. He threw for a career best 327. The cutback from McCleskey, not much. Stacked up at the 35, a gain of only 2. Well, Rick Minter told us the key to their offensive attack today, and in fact, you know, with Mack and Jack doing so well last week and gaining 200 yards on the ground, it wasn't going to be the ground game as much as the ball control passing game. The little short passes, dinking them to death if possible.
They expect Syracuse to put at least one more player up in the box to stop the run than Cincinnati can block. And so the way to defeat that, like we said in the keys to the game, is for the wide receivers to break free of press man coverage and catch little 4, 5, and 6 yard passes.
4 wide receivers set as they send Collins Baker in motion. 2 to each side now. Kenner with trouble coming. Going deep into double coverage. And the Orangemen took it away from each other. Will Allen thought he had the pick, but it was knocked away by Quentin Harris.
Will Allen's upset.
Double coverage looking for Chapman.
Well, the reason they throw this here is that it starts out as single coverage, and late, the ranging free safety, Quentin Harris, number 29, comes over. And if he isn't there, that's an interception by Will Allen.
Pretty big hit on his own man. Wolf again to punt it away. Can he get it to die inside the 10? Thomas is there. Couple of Bearcats are there, and it's grabbed by Isaac Thomas. Anthony Thomas was down there as well. So the Thomas guys, 25 and 27 on top of the situation. Big play, special teams for the Bearcats. Orangemen getting back for the 3rd time when we return, but 98 yards away from pay dirt. Little less than 7 minutes left of the first quarter. No score so far. Rick Minter told us yesterday what it was like getting ready for Syracuse on a short work week.
The Syracuse Orangemen, I think, are the most difficult, one of the most difficult offenses in all of college football to prepare for. And then all of a sudden you're looking at a short work week to get the job done. Multi-formations, multi-personnel, shifting, moving, athletic quarterbacks, lead plays, power plays, option plays, counter plays, trick plays, reverses, ball on, ball off, downfield throws when you think it's a run. All those things present you tremendous problems.
And this is what the week looked like because of the game on Monday, Trevor. So only 5 days, 2 games.
And they have limited time to prepare mentally and physically to get their legs back after a Monday game. On Friday, they went into the swimming pool to try to rejuvenate their legs a little bit.
Just shy of the 2. Syracuse has it 1st and 10. The jumbo look. Man, a couple jumping offside. Kirk Thompson, the first one making contact, along with Montrell Mitchell for Cincinnati. Now, were they drawn off?
Defense, 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
A little breathing room for the offense. Jack Kramer, the referee this afternoon.
But Joe, look at what's happened here over the course of this last couple of series. Cincinnati, with that muffed kickoff by Antonio Chapman, opened the series down around their own 5, opened the game. With a series of punts and a couple of turnovers, now with no score, Syracuse is backed up against their own goal line. That's field position football.
First drive for the Orangemen started at their own 49. They missed a 39-yard field goal attempt. The next time they got it, the 26 of Cincinnati, there was a pickoff by Anthony Thomas. So 3-5. Mitchell almost jumps again. Room up the middle. And good yardage for George Scott, the sophomore from Baldwinsville, New York, as he's barely tripped up by DeJuan Gossett. They're missing Kyle Johnson, the starting fullback. May be gone for the year, is suffering a broken bone in his leg. And as Paul Pasqualoni told us yesterday, he's not only a great football player, he's a team leader. He's a quality person. We need to be around guys like that. Nunes last week only had to throw for 25 yards, 5 of 8 in the passing department because they ran for better than 300 yards. 1st and 10 on the run. Nunes hitting Brown, nothing available. Penetration from Montel Mitchell. Mitchell, the senior from Panama City, Florida, with a solo stop.
Well, poor Nick Romeo at center at 287 pounds had to try to block Mario Mons at 340 again, and Montrell Mitchell made the tackle, but it's Mario Mons that once again drove the center about 2 yards deep in the backfield to completely disrupt that play. If Mario Mons does not make a tackle today, Joel, he'll be a critical factor in the game if he can stay healthy enough to stay in. He's right here.
2nd and long, gain of only a yard for D. Brown. Nunes running the option, can't get out of the backfield. All options were taken away. Surrounded by Mons, Thompson, and Mitchell, gang tackling the quarterback. And he took a stick, partner.
Well, there's Mario Mons again. 340 pounds. Take a look at how far into the backfield he drives Vaughn Smith. He's about a yard deep right there. And because of that, there's nowhere for Nunes to go. Nunes would love to turn that thing up, but he just can't. He wants to get up front, can't cut back because there's 340 pounds of Mario Mons. Look at him on top after that play.
What a start. Loss of a yard back at the 15. It is 3rd and 10 Syracuse. D. Brown the other one to the backfield. Nunes needs to talk it over. Uses the first Syracuse timeout in the opening half. We'll come right back, see what they do on 3rd and 10 deep in their own territory. 5:03 left in the first 15. No score early, just about 10 minutes gone by. And welcome back. College Football Saturday continues on Fox Sports Net. The NFL this morning returns tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. Chris Myers, Jackie Slater, Marv Levy, and Chris Spielman deliver the latest news, injuries, weather as they close in on kickoff with expert analysis from John Madden, Nat Millen, Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, and Chris Collinsworth. The NFL this morning, tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific, only on Fox Sports Net. Now, a huge 3rd down early in the game, especially as far as field position is concerned. Woodcock in motion, 3rd and 10. Pressure on Nunes, throws it wide of Woodcock. Heat at the feet of the quarterback, and that was Willis Edwards flying in the air, and that disrupted the play.
This is just a simple tackle-backer stunt. Tackle goes inside, backer comes around, and when the running back came up to try to make the block, Edwards made like an Olympic long jumper. He just jumped right over the top of him. Cincinnati wants to make Syracuse beat them with Nunes' arm and not with that running game.
So far, so good, as they bought a couple of breaks early when the field position was solid for Syracuse. Chapman waiting for the punt from Mike Schaefer. High snap for the little guy. Bangs out a beauty, though. He had a 44-yard average last week. Chapman trying to make the first man miss. Needs a block, gets to the outside. Turns it across the 45. Unfortunately, the ball is scraped away. Fortunately for Cincinnati, goes out of bounds for Chapman. 12 yards on the return after the 50-yard punt. Woodcock, with a flag down to the field, made the hit.
47-yard line. There is a penalty flag on the play.
It is going to go on the return of the Bearcats. That'll negate great field position instead of their own 47.
What's that field position game?
On the return, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Another look on the infraction, Trevor.
We'll see if we can see where it takes place. Whoop, right there. Whenever you see a special team recovering a kick fall down onto his face, he was probably pushed in the back.
Ray Jackson or make it to Marco McCleskey will come out and set up as the single back set. Collins Baker to the short side, doubling up. Chapman and Schmeichel to the wide side as Schmeichel slides in motion. On the counter, McCleskey can't fight off the first man, Ricky Simpkins. 3rd year as a starter. Now, he missed the opener against Buffalo. 5 players, in fact, missed the opener due to a violation of team policy. Out last week, it was the left tackle, P.J. Alexander, running back James Monroe, left end Duke Pettijohn, Ricky Simpkins, left guard Vaughn Smith. For the 5 starters, Monroe got the start today, but he normally backs up D. Brown. To look at the numbers on McCleskey a couple of years ago, he had to sit out last season. He had his own problems. But a big start for him last week with 90 yards. Kenner trying to check off the play, and you could hear him down the sideline. Can't hear you. Kenner says, just go deep, and looks for Collins Baker deep. What a bat-away, though, by Willie Ford, the junior from Falmouth, Massachusetts.
Well, Willie Ford's a strong safety, but he can play cornerback. It's very rare for a strong safety to be able to cover one-on-one against a wideout. And he has got man-for-man coverage with no other safety support on Jason Collins Baker, and that is absolutely perfect coverage. And especially look at his play on the ball. As he looks back, then he can put his hand on Collins Baker and kind of rough him up a little bit. If he doesn't look back, it would be pass interference. A savvy play by a strong safety.
3rd and 10 for the Bearcats. Time for Deontay, and what a comeback for Chapman. I believe is going to be short by a yard, and he will be. It is interesting, though. We've seen so many deep throws from Kenner already. At least 3 deep throws for Deontay. When Joe Daniels, the offensive coordinator, told us the key was going underneath. Quick possession type catches.
Well, they're trying to loosen up the defense. Right now, the press coverage is taking away those short possession type receptions because they can't get off the defender into the short route.
Lee Campbell waits for the punt. Wolford gets into it. Campbell calling for the fair catch over his head. Bad break for Syracuse. Inside the 5, it is covered downfield. What a play. Was that Chapman? Making LeVar Glover, who got down there to save a 57-yard boot by Wolford. So again, Syracuse starting way back in their own territory.
Well, this happens when LeVar Glover, number 4, doesn't get held up. There are some Syracuse people that should hold him up and keep him from going down there, but the defense was on the field instead of the regular punt return team.
Second consecutive possession. Syracuse starts at their own 2-yard line. Coming up next on Fox Sports Net College Football Saturday, it's going to be Wyoming, Texas A&M. Steve Physiak, well, that'll be Ron Thulin, James Lofton, Eric Clemens. It'll be followed by Ohio State and Arizona. Steve Physiak's going to be there with Mike Ramsey and Lisa Molaski. It's all part of Fox Sports Net College Football Saturday quadruple header right here on Fox Sports Net. Trips in the backfield. Movement again. They take out the legs of George Scott, but jumping offside, it was Derek Adams. And P.J. Alexander, whatever the left tackle is doing, and he's got experience, the senior junior from Tallahassee, Florida, he is getting them to jump on that side regularly now.
Well, you've got a Cincinnati defense that knows that the way to disrupt this incredible offense, running attack of Syracuse, is to get penetration at the line of scrimmage. The way to do that is to get off the ball. Now, almost the entire second-team defense of Cincinnati is on the field right now. They're giving their starters a break.
We have 2 fouls on the play. The first foul is offside against the defense. The second foul is dead ball, personal foul against the defense.
That's a backbreaker because all of a sudden now you give field position a little breathing room to Paul Pasqualoni and Syracuse. That hurts.
Well, part of the defensive game plan for Cincinnati is to not allow any plays greater than 10 yards. They want to make Syracuse earn every first down and earn every touchdown and not give up any cheap ones. That was part of the problem with East Carolina and Virginia Tech on Thursday. Virginia Tech just had too many long runs. When you make the offense drive the ball down the field, there's more opportunities for a mistake to be made and for a turnover to occur. And that's what they're trying to do. This takes away 2 of those 10-yard plays.
Well, they mark off the 5, and then the dead ball foul is 15 yards, so a 20-yard penalty against the Bearcats. 1st and 10 Orangemen, their own 22. Counteraction for Nunes. Woodcock's available. And his favorite target goes across the 30. Out close to the 32. Maybe just short of the first down. Anthony Thomas bowled him out of bounds. The senior from Ontario, Woodcock, is a captain and also rooms with the quarterback.
Kurt Gibbs, number 96, is in for Antoine Peak, spelling him right now. And Kurt Gibbs, his assignment there was when he saw action go away and bootleg come his direction to come up the field and get in Nunes' face. Well, he wasn't there. He went down inside. That's what made it so open.
Second, less than a yard. Brown belts into the backfield, loses yardage on the play. Busting up the play. It looked like torpedoing that play for Cincinnati. It was Kirk Gibbs.
Kirk Gibbs made up for it. Here he comes, and watch him come down inside and drive the pulling guard back into D. Brown. That's Vaughn Smith, their 300-pound guard. And he knew he made a mistake the play before. He made up for it that time.
So now it's going to be third, a little more than a yard. Final 2:15 into the first quarter. Still no score. Plenty of opportunities early for Syracuse, though. Can they pick up the yard and a half? Nunes throws it away. Loose ball, and it's covered in the backfield. What a big play by Chris Davis. Save disaster for Syracuse. Davis, he was in the end zone regularly last week.
Well, how do you stop the option? One way is to make the quarterback pitch it before you want to. Look at 39, Lewis Carter. Look how fast he gets into Troy Nunes' face. Nunes has to pitch that ball before his back is ready for it. Chris Davis wasn't ready for it that soon. That was a great disruptive play by Carter.
I don't know about you, but I'm a bit surprised after talking to Rick Smith, the defensive coordinator, because he's got a thin defensive unit, especially at linebacker position without Eddie Johnson, and also at safety.
But
Schaefer bombs it out. Chapman needs a block, doesn't get it. But he's going to reverse his field. Will he do it on his own? No. Run down by the linebacker, Rich Scanlon. Great effort by Scanlon down at the 31. Well, for all the latest information on Conference USA, check out their website, www.c-usasports.com. Another nice punt of 47 yards by Schaefer. Now, this is a huge matchup for Conference USA, as I mentioned at the top of the telecast. The last time that Cincinnati beat a ranked team at home, September 18th last season. Wisconsin ranked 8th at the time in the country. Syracuse comes in number 24 in the nation. Bearcats from their own 31. Big hole, Ray Jackson holds on this time for 5. Tripped up in the backfield, in the secondary at least, Keon Walker, along with Quentin Harris.
Watch Andy Weinheimer's shoulders as he comes around. He keeps them squared. He's going to hit the linebacker, Clifton Smith, but with his shoulders square. Look how square they are. That way Clifton Smith can't duck inside quick enough to stop that play.
The Mac and Jack attack. DeMarco McCleskey along with Ray Jackson. Quite a combination. A deep tailback tandem for Cincinnati. Getter going for the bundle. Collins Baker with the grab. And he lost it on his way down as it was ripped away by Will Allen, the senior cornerback from Syracuse's Corcoran High School. What timing.
Well, they keep going after Will Allen. Will Allen is one of the best cover corners in the nation. They get the man coverage out there, and the ball is perfectly thrown. But you can see that, yep, Will Allen sticks his left hand underneath the strip. Watch Will Allen's left hand. Comes across and pulls the left arm of Collins Baker out. He's not able to put that ball away.
It's interesting, Trevor. You bring up a great point because one service had Allen listed as the 4th best cornerback in college football coming into the season. But they're not going after Hunter on the opposite side. A 3rd and 5, big hit in the backfield. Syracuse pounds Jackson, taking the ball away. Dwight Freeney, the junior from Bloomfield, Connecticut, but Jackson was already down on a loss of about 3.
Well, Doug Rosfeld is the preseason All-American center, number 50. He struggles a bit this time, but he's going against a pretty good player here in Ricky Simpkins. Behind Rosfeld, the whole thing got piled up. Wasn't much he could do about it.
That is going to be the end of a wild first 15 minutes of play. Tons of possessions, a couple of turnovers. Cincinnati had the ball 5 times in the first quarter alone. Sometimes you only get it 3 or 4 times and a half. So we have seen a little bit of everything. Cincinnati trying to stymie the great offensive look of Syracuse. So far, they've done it successfully with no score after 1. College Football Saturday continues on Fox Sports Net. The Queen City. Muggy day. Feels like the middle of summer. Let's play 2. It does feel like baseball weather. Not exactly a sea cruise, but it sounded like that song in the background. How hot is it? Feel for those people. They are going to lose some serious pounds today. 1st and 10, or make it a punting situation. Syracuse yet to get it back, about to get it back, though, as they've got Malik Campbell waiting for the kick from Adam Wolfick. They got to a punt last week. They also had one block last week, and Wolfick bombs out a beauty. Inside the 10. Malik Campbell, well, there's a block in the back. No flag, a break for Syracuse. Otherwise, it'd be half the distance to the goal because there was a block in the back of Thomas. Willie Ford got him. 65 yards on the punt.
Joel, that was a perfect spiral by Adam Wolfick. It was in the face of an all-out rush right up the middle, and what an incredible punt in a critical situation.
Well, how does it sound down on the field? Pretty good pop for the Bearcats on special teams. Gary Ruff, their starting safety today. Now can Troy Nunes get in sync with the offensive unit? They dominated Syracuse 2 years ago, but Donovan McNabb was at quarterback. First man through.
Hold that way, guys.
Pounding his way for a couple was D. Brown. And the numbers at the end of the first 15 minutes of play looked like it was going to be dominated by Syracuse, especially with the advantage they had in field position.
Well, 29 yards rushing for a team that prides itself in establishing the rush. Credit Cincinnati's defense for swarming all over Syracuse in the first quarter.
I don't know about you, but I am surprised that it has been this close defensively. That the offenses really haven't picked up the pace.
Syracuse is pretty surprised.
Nunes, great play fake. Out of the edge. Willie running. He's got the tight end. He's got a first down, and make it David Tyree, the sophomore from Montclair, New Jersey, who got behind the defensive back. So Nunes showing patience when he could have run the ball and picked up maybe 6, 7, 8 yards. He went to Tyree.
Well, this is that drag. They fake the option going to the left, and then Tyree comes all the way across the field, and the defensive backs, LeVar Glover there, number 4, don't see Tyree coming across because he came from the opposite side of the field behind them.
Big play all the way to the 49. It's a gain of 34 on the catch. Did D. Brown get going? Not this time. Stuff trying to go over to the right side. He's trying to get behind Joe Burton, the right tackle. Mario Mons, who most field is going to be playing next year on Sunday. That legit at 6'4", 330.
Well, they say 330. He's actually 340. Take a look at how many guys try to block him. Well, there's one. There's another. And look at Mons all by himself. Takes 2 offensive linemen, puts them on the ground. Then he puts himself on the ground, and they make the Great Pyramid of Giza.
No gain for D. Brown. Getting a bit esoteric on his partner. On the reverse. The pitch. And inside the 45, Maurice Jackson. The reserve wide receiver, close to a first down, got 8, shy by 2. Nunes held it well.
Now, why do you pitch this ball to Maurice Jackson? This guy during pro timing day in March ran a 4.1540 on an indoor track. So you get this guy out in space, forget about it. There's one guy that has a shot, and there he is. And if it's not for that, then the last guy is right there, Gary Ruff, and Jackson scores.
Key third down for the Orangemen, trying to get on the board for the first time today.
They're in the wishbone, Joel.
The wishbone it is, but Nunes coming up to the line, ready to check. Nunes wants it himself. Will he get to the corner? Diving, I don't believe he got it. He'll need the spot, and he did get the spot to the 40-yard line. The linesman gave him a great spot. What an effort, though, by Troy Nunes, calling his own number, and he barely got away from Blue Adams in time to pick it up.
Well, this is where Nunes has really improved over last year. He was a 165-pound freshman last year. Well, he gained 25 pounds in the offseason in the weight room, up to about 195, and then now he's back down to 188. But in gaining that muscle, he ended up gaining a lot of speed and a lot of strength. And number 24 is Blue Adams. He's a cornerback and was not able to cut off Troy Nunes at the pass, and that's because of that extra physical development between his freshman year last year and today.
He should have it, and he will, by about a foot and a half. Troy Nunes is, as you said, put on about 20, 25 pounds. redshirt sophomore, so he's third year in the program. He's one of those Western Pennsylvania quarterbacks. Now, he's not a guy that is capable right now of beating you with his arm. Down the road, as he's gained strength, and he said he was really pleased as he put on the weight. He told us yesterday, I can still run the 4.540. So he feels good about gaining 20, 25 pounds. He hasn't lost his step. Now his arm strength, that's what he wants to increase.
Yeah, and learning his mechanics. Donovan McNabb helped him learn how to throw off his front foot a couple years ago. So, you know, he's young, he's a puppy, and he's learning what to do.
He gets the first down. Single set is D. Brown. Two tight end formation. Big hole for Brown. Running with his head up into the secondary. And they tried to scrape it away. Trying to take it away was Derek Adams from behind, the sophomore from Solano, Ohio. Big game for D. Brown. His best by far to the 22.
Well, Mario Mons is out of the game. Take a look right here. On number 99, Darrell Ransom. That's number 76, Sean O'Connor, that comes across and knocks him out. Now, who would normally be in that spot but 340-pound Mario Mons, who's not very trappable. And guess what? Mons is back in the game right now in that one spot where they just ran.
Good call, partner. Brown trying to get a seal. Willis Edwards gets him from behind, but still plus yardage on first down, just about 4 for D. Brown, the senior. Was at 5'11", 215 pounds. Led the Orangemen in rushing last year with 741 yards. He had his 5th 100-yard day in their opener last week. And this young man already has a degree in psychology, and he's taking graduate school classes right now at Syracuse.
Well, you need to be smart running this offense because it's not just an option. It's not just an eye. It's all the combination of them. Take a look up here. You've got 3 receivers in a bunch.
Gimmick play, buddy. Here comes a gadget possibly. Noon spreads it. Into the dirt it goes. Now, it looked like a lateral. That's interesting that they say it was incomplete, so it did go slightly forward, trying to get it to Tyree on the gadget play. Well, we thought we'd see at least 5 or 6 gadgets, didn't we?
Well, we thought that Troy Nunes calls plays, it seems like, when he does these gadgets by taking a knee in the huddle and saying to his guys, okay, you're the bottle cap and you're the rock, and you fall down and then get up and then run over there and I'll throw the ball to you. And that time they only had 3 offensive linemen, the center and 2 guards. Everybody else was split off to the sides. That's the kind of thing you draw up in junior high school, and frankly, I like it. It's fun.
It is going to be 3rd and a long 6.
Joel, this time they have an empty backfield. Look, no running backs.
5 wide receivers. Low snap for Nunes, in trouble. The escapability. Buys time. Backside of the end zone. Wide open. Touchdown Tyree. What a play by Nunes to find his man. Maintain his presence on the field.
Well, he's being chased inside by Mario Mons. He should get away from him, but also number 56, Antoine Peak. It takes some doing to get away from Antoine Peak. But when they have an empty backfield and 5 receivers, it's hard for the little guys in the defensive backfield to keep up with all those guys. And that play took so long to develop that Nunes was able to find Tyree in the far corner of the end zone.
Well, we talked about the gadget plays. Look at the way they're lining up right now and finally shifting it over for a normal formation. They look like Nebraska getting ready for an extra point on that play. Schaefer, 7 of 8 on his extra point tries last week. And it's good. So Nunes, with all the pursuit coming to the near side, well, he looked quickly to the far side, capitalized as the defensive backs left their men. Tyree with the score. Syracuse up by 7.
He's working on number 98, Ricky Simpkins. Doug Rosfeld puts him on his back. That's why he's an All-America candidate, and that's why that middle opened up. Unfortunately, the speed of those linebackers closed it back. McCluskey has got to get into that hole a little bit faster.
Inside of 10 minutes to play in the half. Kenner stacks 2 to each side, and they are stacked. Kenner in trouble, hit, and barely hangs on to the football. What a hit by the linebacker, the end, Dwight Freeney. He started 2 times last year, former high school All-America from Bloomfield, Connecticut.
I love Dwight Freeney. He reminds me of Mike Mamula in the way that he rushes the passer. He runs low to the ground. He's very, very quick. Take a look at him as he comes through on his rush. Look how low to the ground he is. And as he comes across, he's able to get there before the big tackle, Andy Weinheimer, is able to do anything about it.
So a loss of about 6. Takes it back to the midfield stripe. Collins Baker in motion. Will they give Kenner enough time? Middle screen, Chapman gets the first man to miss. Nice move after the catch as he beat Greenwood, the linebacker, but hit down from behind by Eric Downing, the loaded 6'4", 300 pounds.
Well, this is almost self-preservation. He catches this ball and takes a look at Greenwood, and if he doesn't dodge him, he's going to get eaten up by like a big Rottweiler eating a kitten. That's a great move on Greenwood, who's one of the outstanding linebackers in the nation.
Wolfick trying to get it to go out of bounds. Almost got to bend it to the boundary. Instead, into the end zone, and Syracuse starting at their own 20-yard line when we come back. So Nunes in the offense, coming off a very positive 84-yard drive. Ready to take over once again. Syracuse gets it back at their own 20-yard line, leading by 7. Joel Myers along with Trevor Maddich. And one of the things that head coach Paul Pasqualoni was talking with us about when he talked about Troy Nunes as quarterback was he said he was a brilliant kid, real good football IQ besides being very bright in the classroom. And he said he gets him up to the line, and on first and second down, Nunes told us as well, he says, I don't know what I'm going to call on first and second down frequently until I get to the line to see what they're going to give us.
And it's the production out of those kinds of audibles and that kind of creativity that won him the job.
From the 20, Nunes with a single to each side, and D. Brown, the only one to the backfield. Brown, good yardage on first down, past the 4 to the 5. Well, tomorrow on the Fox NFL Sunday pregame show, return to the Superbacks. It's Terrell Davis, Jamal Anderson to discuss their comebacks from last season's devastating injuries. Also, JB is going to sit down and talk with the Eagles running back Deuce Staley. What a day for him against the Cowboys, better than 200 yards. And a full day of NFL activity begins tomorrow, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, only on Fox. From the 25, Nunes wanted the quarterback draw. Mons turned him into Kirk Thompson. He wanted to go Mons' way, but Mons was the immovable object.
Mons drove Vaughn Smith back into the backfield again. Take a look at Mario Mons right here. He's going to drive Vaughn Smith into the backfield, and then number 94, Kirk Thompson, is going to come right there and finish off the play. So Thompson gets the credit for the play, but it's Mario Mons, number 90, that actually made that thing happen.
3rd and long, the ultimate for any team facing a Syracuse squad that likes to run the football. 3rd and 9. Can they shut down Nunes, though? They're 1 of 5 so far in their 3rd down attempts. Nunes going for the bundle, has Maurice Jackson, but it hangs up. Gave the defensive back Anthony Thomas an opportunity for his 2nd interception of the game. So 3 and out with a punt from deep in their own territory, and Cincinnati are ready to get it back.
Well, Maurice Jackson, the speedster, remember, 4.15 40 on a track. You can run pretty fast anywhere if you can run that fast on a track, but the ball hangs up, and so he's not able to use his speed. And so Thomas is able to catch up and make that play. He was open for a long touchdown if Nunes hits him in stride.
Schaefer to punt once again. Chapman waiting at the 40. High snap for the little punter. Line drives it out. Good-looking spiral. Chapman gets away from the first man. Will they get a block? Yes. Nifty moves by AC. Loses the football. Syracuse should have it, and they do. Coming up with the loose stuff for the Orangemen. It was Clifton Smith, the linebacker, out of Freeport, New York. Well, that's the danger when you are a little guy making all those fakes.
Well, he's trying to make so much happen here. The offense is kind of bogged down, so rather than get as many yards as he can and go down, he figures that enough guys have missed him here. He's in the open field. I don't mind that, but at this point, he's looking back to his left when a tackler's coming in to the ball side. The ball in his right hand, the tackler came into that side, and he wasn't even looking there.
So now Syracuse in Cincinnati territory for the 2nd time to start a possession. And the running back, James Monroe, trying to turn it outside of his tackle. Gets about 4 to the 32.
Right now, Syracuse is just starting to get established what they want to get established, which is the running game. In the first quarter, Cincinnati's defense had it all over them because of field position and because of the way they attacked the line of scrimmage. But now with the turnovers and with that touchdown, Syracuse is just starting to get a tad of momentum. If they could get a touchdown here, they'll be definitely on top in terms of the psychological game.
And already in a game and a half, they've recovered as many fumbles as they did all of last season. D. Brown rocked right at the line, still fell forward to the 29. Peak gave him a shot.
Well, we talked about how relentless a runner D. Brown is. And that time he was stopped for almost no gain. And all of that game came after he was initially stopped. He never quits, he never gets up, and that's why he's starting.
Defensively, it's been gang tackling for the Bearcats. They knew they'd have to stop the run. Rick Smith, their defensive coordinator, and the defense of the Orangemen coming through, especially on scraping the ball away. As now it's going to be 3rd and 4. Nunes looking underneath. Great grab and move. Will he get there? No. Down just a yard shy as Malik Campbell as he's tripped up by Ivan Fields, the extra defensive back.
That was a tricky little play. They had an empty backfield. They had man-for-man coverage out there. And the ball went to Campbell. Maurice Jackson went out to try to block the guy that was covering Campbell man for man and hoped that he could sneak up the sideline with no safety support.
Well, Syracuse is most likely going to go for it. They also want to know how far they have to go for the first down, so we're going to get a measurement. So bring the change from the near side all the way across to the far side. Actually, they're right there, next door. That'll expedite the process. But they look like they're about a couple of feet shy of where they needed to go for the first down. This will save them using a timeout to make the decision. Syracuse has already used one in the first half with 5:06 remaining.
Well, Rick Minter has pulled out Antoine Peak, who's only about 238 pounds, put in the 268-pound Kurt Gibbs in his place in anticipation of a 4th down dive here. And up inside, Mario Mons looms with his hands on his hips, does not want to move. He's just resting there.
Well, it's interesting that we would have this kind of delay with the ball right there in front of the sticks. This is a break for Paul Pasqualoni and his squad that they got this, especially on the road, because the sticks clearly showed they were about a yard shy. The ball was on that side of the field. Here we go on 4th and a yard. D. Brown setting up in an H-back position. Now in motion. Will it be Davis? Yes, Davis. Met at the line and driven backwards. What a stick! Ivan Fields all over the running back. The sophomore from Huntsville, Alabama. Conference USA all-freshman team last season.
Well, Mario Mons lined up on the right, Joel, and the littlest guy in the field, Ivan Fields, on the left side is the one that gets the penetration and makes this stop. Now keep in mind that Chris Davis is the backup fullback in for Kyle Johnson, who's the regular starter, many people's All-America choice. You're going to look right here at the penetration by number 26. Look at him come in. He's right here. And he hits the fullback square on and stops him cold. Now, Davis is the backup. Who knows what would have happened if that would have been Kyle Johnson, the All-American starter.
Cincinnati gets it back down by only 7 at their own 27. Now can they get the equalizer? McCleskey trying to spin it outside. Good pursuit down the line for the Orangemen and Ricky Simpkins. Well, next week on Fox Sports Net College Football Saturday, we've got all of it covered with another triple header. First, Northwestern taking on number 22, TCU. Heisman hopeful LaDainian Tomlinson leading TCU. Then number 24, Michigan State taking on Missouri at Mizzou, followed by number 6, Texas in Palo Alto, matching up with Stanford. It'll all get started noon Eastern, pregame show brought to you by Rivals.com at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, only on Fox Sports Net. 2nd and 8. Little pop pass, yes, but behind McCleskey. He had to throw that way. The backer was waiting over there. Clifton Smith. If he throws it inside, Smith probably cherry picking. Maybe comes up with an interception.
Well, that's okay. The reason they throw to McCleskey there, they went to the empty backfield. They split out McCleskey. The other wide receivers have not been able to shake free of the press man coverage. So by putting McCleskey on a linebacker who's not used to press man, they're able to break him off the line of scrimmage for one of those short passes that are a key to the game for Cincinnati to hit.
Kenner needs to call a timeout on a key 3rd down with 3:36 left in the first half. Keep third down, 3rd and 2. When we come back, we'll send it back, though, first to Kevin Frazier, our College Football Saturday studio with a preview of our Nissan halftime report. Kevin. All right, Kevin, and you are a saint, as far as I'm concerned, to be able to put up with Winslow and Gigatino on a regular basis. We'll join you at the half and get all the scores and highlights. Well, the story right now has been the two defensive units. That's not a surprise for Syracuse to put up a good defensive effort because they have a senior-dominated defensive unit. But it's a very thin Bearcat defensive unit. In fact, they have simplified everything today. Now, can Cincinnati keep it offensively on 3rd and about 1.5 yards close to 2?
Empty backfield again, Joel. They've got all 5 guys out. Here's the running back, DeMarco McCleskey.
They've yet to convert on a 3rd down. 0 for 5 so far in the half, trailing by 7. Kenner on the quick one. Collins Baker. First down across the 45 because they had an isolated man coverage in the secondary. And he's ripped down by Charles Burton.
And if Charles Burton doesn't make that tackle, there's nobody else back there. Chapman is the fastest wide receiver. And you can see Kenner look over there, and he ends up hitting Collins Baker. Collins Baker is also a guy that can beat a safety, which is what Burton is. And if Collins Baker is able to squeeze through there, he's still running.
He's a 4-year starter for the Bearcats out of Cass Tech High School. Outside, McCleskey spun down and brought down by Clifton Smith, the sophomore from Freeport High School. Freeport High School has been very good to Syracuse, producing Moreland Greenwood. And also the young man who just made the stop on McCleskey, Clifton Smith. When Paul Pasqualoni was just a defensive coach, a linebacker coach for Coach McPherson, he regularly stopped off at that high school, even though they weren't producing Division 1A players. He thought, well, and he liked their head coach. It definitely paid off years later when he became head coach. 2nd down and 8 from the 47. Kenner in trouble and on his way down, losing the football again with a flag down to the play. The referee threw the flag. Were they on the cage of the quarterback? And will the ball go back to Kenner and the Bearcats? Personal foul, yes. On Syracuse.
We'll give Kenner credit for being aggressive here. He had 2 wide receivers split to the left. Man coverage, no safety behind. That's where he wanted to go, but the blitz got there. It's just fortunate that they got the face mask, or it would have been a sack at best.
Yeah, they'll mark it off, but more importantly, the Bearcats will retain possession.
Personal foul, face mask, against the defense, 15-yard penalty, previous spot, first down.
Let's take him in sync, Trevor.
Well, take a look at the receivers. You've got Chapman, who is on man-for-man coverage on Will Allen, and that's exactly where Kenner wants to go. But Duke Pettijohn, who's been quiet today. Josh Gardner, right tackle's done a nice job against him. Reaches in, and probably out of frustration that he hadn't been there. Duke Pettijohn, All-America candidate. Josh Gardner has done a fabulous job so far keeping him in check.
That is the first flag of the day against the Orangemen, and it comes with 2.5 minutes left in the half. Trips, and they run away from the trip side again. McCleskey banging his way for a tough couple, maybe 3. Yes, 3 down to the 35 as the clock will continue to move. Clifton Smith again sliding down the line and scraping down the running back. He was first-team freshman All-America from the Sporting News last year. Started as a true freshman last season. Don't see that all that often at a program like Syracuse.
Well, that middle linebacker, you've got to understand the size and physical maturity of the interior offensive lineman that he has to take on every play. And for a true freshman to have the physical ability to stand in is a rare thing.
2nd and 7, ball at the 35. McCleskey, tough sledding. What he got on his own, coming outside of his tackle, down to the 32 for 3 more. Greenwood that time, the senior 4-year starter out of that same high school I was just talking about, coming in today with 38 consecutive starts. He's a captain, making the hit.
Well, they're calling Greenwood one of the best all-time linebackers they've ever had. And, you know, at Syracuse, they've had some outstanding linebackers. And he's a guy that can cover the field, and when he gets there, delivers the blow. He'll be playing on Sundays as well.
So now Kenner out of the gun on 3rd and 4. Ball at the 32. Will the drive stay alive? Available, throwing behind Chapman. He was making the break when he turned around. Allen was on his hip, and the ball was on the opposite side, flying by his shoulder.
Well, they came with a corner blitz. LaTroy Oliver blitzed in from the left side, and they hadn't shown that yet today. Syracuse doesn't really come with a lot of pressure in terms of bringing small defensive backs on blitzes from weird locations. Now, Cincinnati will do that to you. And actually, a lot of teams in Conference USA will. But Kenner did not expect that from Syracuse, and that's why that play didn't work.
Cincinnati is going for it on 4th down. It'll be 4th and 4 from the 32. Empty backfield again for Deontay Kenner. He spreads the defense. Does he have enough time? Floating it down. 2 receivers in the neighborhood, and it battered away from Collins Baker. But is that a busted play, partner? Because you've got Chapman and Baker bringing 3 defenders into the neighborhood.
Yeah, they were too close, but the ball was still thrown in there. Kenner had a pinpoint pass, and it was catchable. But again, Will Allen knocks it out. Look at number 25. This ball drops in, and number 25, Will Allen, along with number 3, LaTroy Oliver, are able to pull that ball out of there.
Well, Syracuse gets it back in solid field position after the stand by the defensive unit. But they've only got 1 timeout on the board. Bearcats defense getting out there a little bit late. Woodcock goes in motion. 7-0 Syracuse with 61 seconds left in the half. Setting up the screen. D. Brown with good blocking. Takes a shot out of the secondary. Coming up, Blue Adams. Willis Edwards hit him late, but Blue Adams the first one in there. And the story right now that Syracuse defense, and you were just talking about it, in fact, their coach said for the first time since Tim Green and the 4-wheel drive group of the mid-'80s, the Orangemen have a solid group, that front 7 that we've been talking about.
Well, they'd have big guys that couldn't run, or they'd have small, quick guys that couldn't stand in against pressure. Now they've got the combination of the two.
First down on the screen to Brown from the 43. Brown hung up in the backfield. That slowed the play down. Montrell Mitchell stuffed the play. Cleaning up, though, it was Isaac Thomas, the outside backer.
This is one of the ways that Syracuse is going to stop. They ran a stunt inside to stop the run. They expected the run in this situation.
Still 1 timeout up there for Syracuse. Can they come up with a big play to get into field goal position? The grab is made for a first down. That'll stop the clock going out of bounds at the 45 by Malik Campbell. Coming up at the half, Kevin Frazier, Kellen Winslow, Artie Gigantino. The Nissan Halftime Report on Fox Sports Net. Nebraska traveling to take on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. And what a matchup between the Big East and the Pac-10 today up in Seattle, where I got a feeling it's going to be raining. So that all comes your way just about 7 seconds from now. Could be the final play of the half. And a tough one between 2 solid defensive groups. Nunes buying time. Looking to go downfield, but not deep enough. And his receiver, Woodcock, took the hit in the process. Evans laying the lumber, the outside backer. The only score, well, Nunes making something out of nothing. It was an 18-yard touchdown toss after he retrieved it and found David Tyree for the only score of the first 30 minutes of play. So Syracuse up by 7. Let's head back now to our Fox Sports Net College Football Saturday studio and the Nissan Halftime Report with Kevin Frazier and crew. Kevin.
The Nissan Halftime Report continues on Fox Sports Net, and we're at the break with the Orangemen for the Big East leading Conference USA's Bearcats 7-0. And welcome back once again, Joel Myers along with Trevor Mattich. Somewhat of a surprise not to see Syracuse's defense coming up big, their defensive unit, because they are intact. A lot of seniors back. But on the defensive side for the Bearcats, they are missing 2 starters, and in particular, the guy who calls the plays, Eddie Johnson, the middle linebacker.
The middle linebacker's out. Their starting free safety, Freddie Smith, is out, and their best defensive tackle, Mario Mons, is very limited, and they're still able to hold Syracuse, who scored 35 points at the half last week, to only 7 today.
Now, there have been moments, though, for Syracuse offensively, and their tailback, D. Brown, in particular.
Well, D. Brown, we talked about his relentless running style. He gets most of his yards after initial contact, and he needs to, because Cincinnati's defense is keying on him and swarming on him. Right there, another missed tackle, and he's able to get another 7 or 8 yards. He's a relentless runner. Antoine Peak using that speed that we talked about, catching the option from behind and boom, big hit. That kind of speed they'll need in the second half to be able to continue. And of course, there's Mario Mons, big number 90, who puts all 340 pounds on top of quarterback Troy Nunes right there. These are the guys that have shut down Syracuse so far. As you look at this, look at Syracuse, 174 total yards. However, they're not able to punch it in to get scores, and that's because of the swarming nature of Cincinnati's defense.
Syracuse at the outset of the contest had a huge advantage in field position. That got away from them, and in particular with one turnover, an interception by Anthony Thomas when they started with the ball in their second offensive series, deep after a Ray Jackson fumble of the Cincinnati 26 deep in Bearcat territory. So we are ready for the start of the second half. Line drive. It's going to be brought back from the 5 across the 20. Will Allen with a defensive back past the 25. And they'll give him the 26-yard line. So Anthony Thomas all over the field once again made the stop on special teams. And make it actually to the 22-yard line. Nunes in the first half, 8 of a dozen, 102 yards. He was picked off, as I mentioned, by Anthony Thomas when they had that great field position. But he made the biggest play of the half. On a low snap, got away, lost about 10 yards at the outset of the play. He did find David Tyree for the only score, an 18-yarder. On the counter play, D. Brown belted in the backfield and dropped down. Maybe a yard at the most. Derek Adams, his sophomore, all-freshman squad for Conference USA last year, coming up big. And he did lead the defensive front 4 in tackles last year as a freshman.
Well, he makes his play because he gets penetration. He did the same thing against Army last week. Derek Adams has a knack for getting into the offensive backfield and disrupting the play way back 3 or 4 yards deep.
2nd and 9 after a gain of a yard. Nunes. They bought the play fake. And the deflection, and Evans almost had the interception. Troy Evans almost brought it down, the senior from right here in Cincinnati.
Well, he gets one big hand on it. Now, as you look at the hand of Troy Evans, take a look at the tape on his fingers. He's got tape around all of his fingers and his thumb, and he's just not quite able to get the finesse of his fingertips on that ball because he's got so much armor on those fingers.
So it's going to bring up third. Still 9. Only 2 of 8 on their third down attempts. One of those did go for the touchdown, though. Nunes with time. What a grab. Right at the 30-yard line, Malik Campbell going up top. Helps to be 6'3".
It helps to be 6'3". It also helps to play basketball at Syracuse for the first 2 years of your career. Last year, Campbell didn't even play football. And his hands are as big as frying pans. That's a quote from Troy Nunes. He can jump up in the air and catch anything because his hands are just absolutely gargantuan. That's a basketball player playing receiver.
But he had to come back on the ball. Ivan Fields will wait for the punt from Mike Schaefer. And check that. It's going to be AC instead. Fields went back. Now it's going to be Antonio Chapman. Good hang time. Chapman called for the fair catch. And he's got it in Cincinnati. Has great field position at their own 34.
Joel, I'm loving this about the Cincinnati defense. Halftime, Syracuse has the chance to make adjustments, and it's 3 and out and punt.
Well, Deontay Kenner last week, 239 yards passing after a very sluggish beginning. But that's what Rick Minner liked the most about the game, that his offense came back to win it. 95, 96, and 97. They really leaned on the defense. The defensive squad came up with the big wins for them. One back formation. Slamming it straight ahead. Ray Jackson. It's a gain of just about 4. Well, a big loss in the secondary, Trevor. Quentin Harris, his shoulder injury on this play late in the first half is gone.
Well, his own man, Keon Walker, hits it right there, number 28. And you've got an All-America candidate caliber free safety in Quentin Harris that now will no longer be there. Keep in mind that Cincinnati runs 4 and 5 receiver sets, and to lose your starting free safety is a blow.
2nd and 6. Ball across the 38. Ladarius Van going in motion. He's been quiet. He's got it, and he's got the first down. Right at the 45, the Co-Conference USA Freshman of the Year last season. Missed most of spring practice following knee surgery, and that's a big grab early, the short one they wanted to go to.
And they went out there on Keon Walker. They went right out against the replacement of Quentin Harris. Take a look at where Van ends up. Now look at number 28 hit him. That's Keon Walker. That's the backup free safety. They went right to him first play.
So after Syracuse went 3 and out with a punt, on the play fake, Kenner whacking it over to the tight end. And Ashley Hunt, his first grab of the day. As his coach said, Hunt was a no-show in the first half. Second half, he was critical. He had 4 grabs.
Well, they'll need him now because the defensive backfield of Syracuse has taken away the short passing game that they need, as we see Kenner pay the price for delivering these passes. That's part of the reason why these passes haven't been there. Kenner's been blitzed and he's been hit. But at the same time, his receivers have not been open because of the press man. Getting the ball to the tight end is a great move by Kenner to open that up a little bit.
Gain of about 3 as they got it to Ashley Hunt. 2nd and 7. Nothing there. Jackson did it all on his own. What did they say? Be your own blocker?
Well, BYOB, it stands for a lot of things.
Yes.
Today it stands for be your own blocker.
Duke Pettijohn finally put him down, the senior from Mattapan, Massachusetts. First team all Big East last year.
Pettijohn's got his eye on the NFL, and he's been quiet today. He's got to make more big plays. There are NFL scouts at this game right now, and they're watching to see what he's going to do.
3rd and a little more than 4.
Duke Pettijohn, number 49 on the end.
Jackson does stay in the backfield. No tight end in the formation. 2 to each side. Movement up front. Flag on the play. And we'll have a dead ball foul. Right side of the offensive line lifted up. Putting his hands to the helmet is Kurt Doolin, the guard. It's going to be a false start, I believe.
Prior to the snap, procedure, offense, 5-yard.
5th penalty, 40 yards in assessments. And that is a big one. Instead of 3rd and 4, it'll be 3rd and 9.
Well, here's why. You've got a mobile quarterback. Deontay Kenner runs about a 4.65 40, and he plays that fast. At 3rd and 5, Joel, he still is a threat to run the quarterback draw. Now at 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9, he's no longer a threat to run.
Third and 9 from the 46. Collins Baker is the motion man to the short side of the field. They flood that side, and Chapman tried to run with it before he had it. And he had a little protection from a little guy, Collins Baker, up there. He's ready to chip for him.
Well, he had the man coverage he's looking for, and Collins Baker is going out to look for number 37, Burton. But the problem is that Collins Baker looked back to see what was happening with the ball. He should have been looking forward.
Malik Campbell waits for the punt from Adam Wolfick, the junior from Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. They got to a punt last week, and Syracuse almost got to that one. Campbell had room up the middle, and for some reason started over to the right side. Goes down across the 23. Still gets about 9 on the return after a 39-yard punt. Isaac Thomas once again doing the job on special teams for the Bearcats. Will either one of these two offenses be able to get the beat on the defensive units? Right now, the defensive units, just like we saw in the first half, dominating at the outset of the second half.
Well, here's
so
why.
about 5 minutes gone by. Syracuse gets it the second time after a 3 and out to start their first series. Orangemen get it back. Just about 5 minutes gone by, leading by 7. Well, it's a simplified defensive look today for Rick Mitter's squad because of the key personnel missing. We talked about it defensively. They have just chopped everything down. Instead of 12 coverages, they've got 4. We'll get into that a little bit later, but they've tried to make it easy on the group, and the guys have really responded for their defensive coordinator, Rick Smith. From the 23, outside the 23, Brown battles his way to the 26. Or check that. On the run, Mungro who is the MVP of the Music City Bowl. But he has rocked as soon as he got at the end. Antoine Peak there. Mungro, only a junior from East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. He had 162 yards on only 12 carries. A couple of touchdowns in their win over Kentucky in the Music City Bowl. Brown has been featured. Mungro did get the start today, but only saw really a couple of series in there in the first 30 minutes of play. Gain of 4, 2nd and 6.
Joel, look at this weird set.
They stack him up. Looks like a gadget. Tyree, who's got the only touchdown, to the 31. And that is it. Throttled by Antonio Davis, the senior outside backer from Miami. Well, that's about the third gadget we've seen. They thought they'd see 5 or 6, Trevor.
Well, you've got all these guys. This guy's going to come back and take the catch. Everybody else.
3rd and 3 in the battle of field position in a tight affair. This is a big play early in the 3rd. Slide the tight end. Nunes with pressure in his face. D. Brown can't get away. What an open field tackle. Anthony Thomas did it out on the edge. That's a big time play on an island.
On an island, but Cincinnati has the right matchup. Anthony Thomas is a cornerback going up against the running back, D. Brown. Now, Nunes hopes that there's a linebacker matched up against his running back out in the flat, but instead a cornerback has man coverage on him, and if that's a linebacker, it's a much more difficult open field tackle. Good matchup victory by Cincinnati.
Sophomore from Sarasota, busy today. Mike Schaefer to punt it again to Antonio Chapman. You almost feel like Chapman's going to get one before it's all over today. Will this be the time? Not with a punt like that. Fair catch. Great hang time. Schaefer takes him right out of the return game with a 40-yard punt and a hang time of about 6 seconds. That is serious special teams play for your punter. So the Bearcats get it at their own 28. We've got a timeout of the field. 8:41. Now, Deontay Kenner, the senior quarterback for the Bearcats, get them on the board for the first time when we come back. Well, turnovers were the story in the first half of play. Neither team really could capitalize. Now, can Cincinnati finally get it going offensively? This is a group led by a senior quarterback, Deontay Kenner. Now, he got off to a slow start in the first half against Army. Didn't do much right. Rushed the situation quite often. Will he settle down now in the second half like he did against Army? Much different defensive look, though, than he saw from a smaller Army group that was just pounded today by Boston College. And Army's home opener right here on Fox Sports Net. 7-0 Syracuse. End around. Room to move. Van gets outside. Big yardage for Van. And that's one of the few gadget plays we've seen from the Bearcats today. She's picked up in the secondary by Keon Walker.
Well, we talked about the speed of the Syracuse defense. There has not been a misdirection play run by Cincinnati so far today. And they, on defense in Syracuse, have begun to get used to all coming over this way when the run goes that way. Unfortunately, take a look at number 49 right there. Duke Pettijohn, he's the one that has reverse when flow goes away.
He bit on the counter action to the opposite side of the field. Big yardage to the 48. Ray Jackson up the middle, barely tripped up. Gets 7 on first down. And that was missing in the first half as well. We saw McCluskey twice get good yardage on first down, but they've not been able to get 5+ yards on first down.
Well, it's tough to do when there's so many guys up in there. The offensive line of Cincinnati is doing a good job of sticking on their blocks. Look how wide that hole is. But there's been an extra Syracuse defender coming up inside that the offensive line can't account for, and that time that extra defender was out covering receivers.
So you can see the big play is missing today against Syracuse. It was prevalent against Army. They say they want at least 4 per game. Kenner on the quick slant, throws behind Collins Baker. Catchable ball, but a little bit behind the man to try to catch him in a position to succeed. That's something we talked with the coaches about last week.
Yeah, Kenner is not accurate there, and it made it tough on Collins Baker. Now, we'll be up here in the booth and say that Collins Baker should have made that catch, and you know what he should have? That's actually the 3rd time he's had a ball in his hands. The first 2, Will Allen stripped it out. That one, the ball was a little bit behind him with tight coverage by Will Allen, but poor Collins Baker just can't get the pass where he needs it to be without Will Allen in his face mask to strip it out.
He would have had the first down instead. 3rd down and a little more than 3, almost 4. Only 1 conversion today. Here comes the blitz. Kenner calling his own number to the boundary. Can he get outside? Diving for it. Did not make it. Unless he gets a miracle spot. And he did. He got the best spot I think I've ever seen in college football. He got a spot just outside of the 41 where it looked like he went out of bounds about 2 yards shy of that.
You know what? I think they're giving him the same benefit of the doubt that they gave to Troy Nunes in the first half when he had a similar play. Now, we talked about Deontay Kenner being fast and playing that fast. He wasn't fast enough to get that corner. That ball crossed the first down line about 4 yards out of bounds.
Giving new meaning to the term home field advantage.
Well, maybe somebody on the sideline, yelled at the ref and distracted him or something.
And it is a crew. Now the visitors bring the officials in this series. So it is a Big East officiating crew. And they've got the first down.
Well, the ref is looking to see where the foot goes out of bounds. And he must have decided that the foot did not go out of bounds until the ball crossed line. Look at his feet now. Now, there's the inbound foot. There's the ball. And this foot has not hit the ground yet. And that must be what the ref is talking about.
Boy, I'll tell you something. You make a great attorney.
Joel, in all the time we've known each other, you've never given me such an insult. I'm kidding. I'm just joking. I'm kidding. Attorneys are fine. It's just a joke.
From the 41, first down in Syracuse territory. 3 wide receivers set. Jackson stays in the backfield. We've yet to see McCleskey in the second half. Ray Jackson into the teeth of the defense. Shot down shy of the 38 after a gain of almost 3.
Well, they're running the ball into that overloaded Syracuse defense. They've got to get back to the key that offensive coordinator Joe Daniels told us about before the game.
Well, tomorrow on the Fox NFL Sunday pregame show, return to the Superbacks, Terrell Davis, Jamal Anderson discussing their comebacks from last season's devastating injuries. Also, JV is going to sit down with Eagles running back Deuce Staley. Full day of NFL activity. It all starts tomorrow noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, only on Fox. From the 38, 2nd and 7. Same formation we've seen all day with a Deuce to the wide side of the field. Kenner finally has some pocket protection, time to throw, coming back. Collins Baker also finally hangs on to one. He's got a first down to the 28. This is the deepest penetration for Cincinnati since the midway portion of the third quarter, or first quarter rather.
Well, Syracuse has let him hang around. This is Ty Keith. Look at Deontay Kenner. Look to his left, then come back to his right. And Ty Keith runs an outstanding route, coming slightly back to the quarterback on his crossing route, and that's what gives him the separation.
But Ty Keith makes the grab, the sophomore from College Park, Georgia. That is his first. Thank you, partner. 8 completions for Kenner, 7 different receivers. Jackson adjusting nicely to cut it back against the flow. Down to the 25 for a gain of 3, where he's buried by Moreland Greenwood. Simpkins also there.
And Joel, here's another thing that's happening now. A 7-0 game. Syracuse has allowed Cincinnati to hang around to keep the score close. So the big offensive line, the experienced offensive line of Cincinnati, is having time to wear down the defensive front of Syracuse. That's a critical thing.
This drive covering 47 yards. This is the 8th play coming up. It started back at the Cincinnati 28-yard line. 2nd and 7. Van, a motion man. He's available. Instead, they go deep for Chapman. And there was contact downfield, but no flag. Van was available, though, and Van broke the Bearcats' freshman record with 37 catches last year. Kenner had his mind made up, though, on a post corner route for Chapman?
It was a little pick play. Van was supposed to come in, get close to Chapman, and pick off Will Hunter, who was guarding him. Unfortunately, Will Hunter and the guy that was guarding Van went off deep with Chapman. That left Van wide open, but Kenner, like you said, Joel, he was looking for the home run that play.
So instead of an easy first down to the underneath man, it is 3rd and 7. Need to take it inside the 18. Kenner needed 107 yards today to go into second place of the all-time yardage list, throwing the ball and squeezing the juice right out of it, throwing it into the turf, like we saw in the first half last week. And his coach, Joe Daniels, told us he was a little jittery at the start of last week's game. He was squeezing the life out of the football, and that time, man was available early, but he couldn't get it to Collins Baker.
Kenner looks to me like he's forcing right now, Joel. That looked like a pass that he aimed and tried to put to the receiver instead of stepping up and throwing it like a man who's got confidence in his arm. Kenner's got the arm, but mentally right now he doesn't believe it.
It'll be a 42-yard field goal attempt for Jonathan Ruffin, the first of the day. Capolo will hold it. Will it get there? No. Pushed it a little wide right as well. Ruffin, who was the Conference USA Special Teams Player of the Week last week in the win over Army, went free for free. Well, he's missed his first of the season. And Syracuse still pitching a shutout on the home field of the Bearcats. Two teams that won their openers on Saturday and Monday. Syracuse taking care of Buffalo as they took apart a team that is making their move into Division 1A, only the second season. And you can see 304 yards rushing last week. They didn't have to throw the ball. Today they have been shut down for the most part in the ground game. A team that excels on the ground with their option attack. Nunes on the play fake. It's Tyree who's been his best receiver today. And he's got about 9 on first down out to the 34 before he's put down by Dewan Gossett. And that was Malik Campbell instead. Malik Campbell, not Tyree, on the opposite side of the field.
Well, Campbell gets it, but take a look at the offensive line coming out the block. Number 68, that's Chris Buda. Number 76, that's O'Connor. And those guys are out in front on defensive backs. Number 22 is the safety, Dewan Gossett. And number 76 is a 300-pound guard laying on top of him.
Good idea by Syracuse. So struggling on the ground a little bit so far. The first two series of the second half, they go to the air on first down. Nunes, power play. And Mungro's got the first down. Barely tripped up across the 35 to the 37. Thomas came to trip him up, the outside backer.
I'll tell you what, Joel, the defense of Cincinnati, this is a Navy option look. This is a completely different look from what they did before. That's what Navy does. And so right now, Cincinnati's defense is confused. And after this play, the defensive backs and linebackers were talking to each other, trying to figure out what happened.
Syracuse, 10 minutes into the third quarter, finally picks up their first down of the second half. And D. Brown struggles for a yard on first down. The early give into the heat of the defense has not been all that effective today for D. Brown and the offensive unit of Syracuse.
Well, D. Brown has to have the support of the offensive line, and I really like the way that Cincinnati's defensive front seven matches up against the offensive line of Syracuse. D. Brown needs to have help from there, but the problem is the offensive line isn't blowing open the holes for him.
On second and long, Nunes with a nice play fake in the flat. He's got Jackson, and Jackson's got a first down. Nifty move to pick up the first down. Did he get the mark? No, they didn't give it to him, only to the 47. And he did go around the little marker there for the first down.
Well, they take the very fastest guy they've got. He's right here, and all he does is run a little arrow. That's Maurice Jackson. He goes inside, then he comes back out. And those two guys chasing him there, right here and right here, are both linebackers. That's Troy Evans. And those guys aren't going to catch a fast wide receiver out in the flat. See, that's what we talk about when we talk about matchups. You want to get your wide receiver either on a safety, which is typically not as fast as a corner, or especially on a linebacker. That time the underneath zones were covered by the linebackers and Troy Evans out in that flat.
Well, they're short of the first down by only a matter of inches. But the receiver, Jackson, got great speed, did recognize where he needed to go. He just didn't get the mark. He's a junior from Rochester, New York. And now third and inches, trying to pick up back-to-back first downs. 3:59 left in the third quarter. Well, a much better experience for Rick Minner's defensive squad as opposed to what happened last time when they faced Donovan McNabb at the Carrier Dome 2 years ago. And they were just crushed. Gave up 637 yards of total offense. I like what Artie Gigantino said during the Nissan halftime report. He said with Conference USA record for Cincinnati, only 1-11 over the last 2 years. Maybe the Bearcats ought to keep playing out of conference.
Joel, third and inches, 340-pound Mario Mounds.
Will they stop it? That was a tough battle in the trenches. But it looks like they've got the first down.
Well, if they did, they went right into the teeth of the dragon. Remember last time they had a third and short. Mons. Here's Mario Mons. He's right here, and look at the penetration he gets. This is just a quarterback sneak right at him. Boy, look how low Mario's rear end. I don't know how he gets his rear end low. Because if he's laying flat, his rear end sticks up a ways.
Senior from Fort Pierce, Florida. They didn't get a great spot. They may have it by the nose of the football, but it was not a great spot. And they've got it by the nose of the football, just barely. A couple of inches worth.
First down for Syracuse.
So now with inside 4 minutes to play. A huge drive for Syracuse possibly. The way they have shut down Cincinnati, another touchdown. It may be too much for the Bearcats, especially if they can take the rest of the quarter to go into the end zone. Noon's very efficient, as you saw those numbers, 13 of 18. His only mistake was early, and that was deep in Cincinnati territory when he was picked off by Anthony Thomas. 1st and 10. Throwing underneath. Jackson gets the block outside, and what a block for the wide receiver. Malik Campbell took 2 out, I think, with that play. But Noons put his man in a pretty good position to catch it and run.
Well, it's Antonio Davis, the linebacker, number 42, matched up against the fastest man on anybody's field. Take a look at number 42. He's going to try to chase the inside receiver, who's the fastest guy. He's usually on the outside, but look, number 42 is a linebacker. That's Antonio Davis. Now, when they get that matchup, they'll take it every time.
They get another first down to the 42. Gadget play. It's Campbell coming back to get it, and Campbell's got another first down. So all of a sudden, Syracuse moving the football through the air, not on the ground, behind the arm on the short throws. The sophomore from Butler, Pennsylvania, Troy Noons.
Well, now why are they doing that, Joel? They're doing it because the interior runs are being shut down enough that they can't sustain drives that way. They're not having success throwing the ball down the field, so what's left? What's left is stretch the field horizontally with little short passes to those fast wideouts and let them try to break a tackle.
Now they put Lewis, the tight end, over to the wide side of the field. Time-consuming drive started back at the 25. Mungro beating the man at the line. No. Barely stripped down by Troy Evans. Otherwise, he is into the secondary for another first down. Instead, only a gain of 3. That is a huge save by the outside linebacker, Troy Evans.
That is a huge save, but that run is good enough for a second and fairly normal distance here. Now, on second down, whether it's second and short, second and medium, or second and long, the Syracuse offense likes to run option. Let's see what they do here.
Well, as the left side of the offensive line starting to wear down this group.
It's that Navy look again.
You said it. It worked before. D. Brown can't get out of the backfield. Spun around by DeMarcus Billings, a sophomore from Atlanta. It has been a struggle today for D. Brown.
It's been a real struggle. They've been keying on him with the starting fullback Kyle Johnson out with a broken ankle. That puts a lot more heat on D. Brown. It also takes away a devastating lead blocker for him. And he gets used to running behind Kyle Johnson. It's different when he's not in there.
Well, this is a critical third down for the defensive unit of the Bearcats. Another 26 blitz coming to the corner. Pop pass over the middle, deflected at the line. It was deflected at the line of scrimmage. Mario Mons got up there.
He got up there, Joel?
Well, I know his vertical is tiptoes.
I don't even think he can get up to his tiptoes right now. But he got that big mid up in the air.
Stops a string of 7 straight completions by Noons, who will hold now for Mike Schaefer. Schaefer missed on a field goal attempt earlier.
And Joel,
he hooked it.
This is the far end of his range.
It is going to be a 43-yard attempt. What about a gadget? They'll put it down. No. And it's blocked right in the middle of the stack. They hold once again. The Bearcats don't give up the field goal. Pete got up there in the middle. It was a very low-line drive, though, from Mike Schaefer.
Well, Schaefer's been hitting him in practice consistently only from about 35 or 40 yards. This one is 43 yards, and he kicks it low to try to get the distance. Now take a look at the low trajectory and take a look at the penetration. Pete comes in there, you've got Billings in there.
It didn't even hit him in the hands, it hit him in the middle of the chest.
Well, it's a good snap, it's a good hold. Look how low the ball comes out. And the guy that got that was the jumper way back at the line of scrimmage. He didn't even need to jump. Take a look how low it hits. Oi! That's Antoine Peak, but it hits him between the 5 and the 6. It didn't hit him at the upstretched hands.
Will that pick up the offensive unit? Kenner with pressure coming, going deep, and it's almost intercepted. Chapman had to turn into the defensive back when Will Allen had a beat on it. So a break for the Bearcats once again. And next week on Fox Sports Net College Football Saturday, we've got all the action covered. Triple header next Saturday. First Northwestern taking on number 22 TCU. Then number 24 Michigan State matching up with Mizzou at Columbia. And it's Texas, Pac-10, and the Big 12 taking on Stanford. It all starts noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. College Football Saturday pregame show presented by Rivals.com. Previews all the action 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, right here on Fox Sports Net. From the 27, 2nd and 10. McCleskey battles his way out of the backfield and almost gets the first down. He's shy by about a half a yard.
Well, Joel, this is what I mean by
Burt made the stop. McCleskey, though, running with his head up.
This is what I mean by the offensive line sustaining their blocks. Take a look at the center right here. That's Doug Rosfeld sustaining his block against Christian Ferrara. He doesn't need to drive him down the field. He needs to stick on him and take him whatever direction he's going, but stay on him, and that's why that hole opened up so wide.
We will have a measurement. It looked like he was about a half a yard shy of where he needed to go for the first down. Cincinnati very fortunate to be down by only 7. The opportunities have been there for Syracuse. Talked about the field position advantage they had in the first half. They just also had a 43-yard field goal attempt blocked by Beak. And McCleskey, once again, what a nice combination off the bench he has been. Better than 50 yards today on 9 carries, subbing for Ray Jackson. 9 for 52, almost a 6-yard average.
Well, McCleskey is a shiftier guy than Ray Jackson, and with so many defenders in there, he's been able to slip them a little bit better than Ray today.
Final minute of the third quarter. A shutout between these two teams in the third quarter. Neither has been able to score in the second half. And it's a first down on Kenner's call with the quarterback sneak. So Kenner very quiet in the passing department. Will it come alive in the fourth quarter? Short passing game, you talked about it in the first half. It was taken away by the press coverage of the Syracuse defensive backs.
Well, that's been a big key to this game, to hit those short passes. In the first half, the wide receivers caught a combined 4 passes, and that takes Cincinnati out of a big part of their game plan.
McCleskey stays in the backfield, gets it. Waiting for the pursuit to slide by, hung on for 4, and that should be the final play of the third quarter. Ricky Simpkins with a defensive tackle on the back of the running back. Simpkins out of Christ the King High School, Middle Village, New York, 3-year starter for Paul Pasqualoni.
And an attitude, Joel. He, along with Eric Downing in the middle, are a mean couple of guys. They feed off of one another that way.
Will they get one more snap in? 2nd and 6 from the 43. Just barely. McCleskey again adjusting nicely into the secondary. And taking the defensive back with him, Keon Walker. But a pick-me-up for the Bearcats. When we come back, they're in plus territory. They're on the opposite side of the 50. Orangeman side of the 50. Once again, though, just like we saw over the first 2 quarters, the third quarter dominated by the defensive units. Anthony Thomas has had a stellar day for Cincinnati's defensive backfield. Can the Bearcats pull off the upset? After 3, they're still down by 7 for the 24th ranked Syracuse Orangemen. College Football Saturday on Fox Sports Net continues from Cincinnati. We're on the campus of the University of Cincinnati. A warm afternoon, sun burning through. Cloudy afternoon for the first 3 quarters. Now is the sun going to be shining, though, on Rick Minter's squad.
A little shine on Rick Minter's squad if they can continue to do this. This is the elusiveness of DeMarco McCleskey. He's able to shake off some tacklers and gain an extra 3 or 4 yards, and they'll need to continue to do that over the course of this fourth quarter because that short passing game has been completely non-existent. A lot of pressure right now on DeMarco McCleskey and that offensive line.
Now Ray Jackson, DeMarco McCleskey, the Mac and Jack attack have done a good job so far because they're different types of runners. They're both bull backs. They're not going to finesse people. But McCleskey is more of an upright back the way he goes. He has done a good job of cutting back. And
empty backfield. McCleskey is right here, Joel.
let's see if they find him over there. on the hip of the tackle. Kenner out of the gun. First down, first play of the final 15 minutes of regulation. Trouble for Kenner. Can he get away? He can throw it away. And he does throw it over the head of Tony Schmeichel. Now, college football, don't forget, once he gets outside of the tackles, it's like Sundays, the pros. You can throw it to the third deck. The numbers, Trevor, after 3.
Well, Syracuse is not dominating this game like they thought they would coming in. They're really surprised at Cincinnati's defense. 240 total yards is okay for Syracuse, but they've had such poor field position, especially in the first half, that they were only able to get 7 points out of that, and that's the only thing that really matters.
Outset of the fourth quarter. Syracuse's touchdown came in the second quarter. There's a 19-yard pass to David Tyree. Inside give, nothing there for McCleskey. Interesting on 2nd and 10 that you try an inside handoff. It's been tough all day inside. Pettijohn wrapped up the running back. A young man that has led Syracuse in sacks in each of the last 2 seasons. And he was all over McCleskey as soon as he got the football.
Well, that was not the right call there because they had the 8 men stacking the line of scrimmage. About 25% of the time today, Deontay Kenner will have the option to check from a pass to a run at the line of scrimmage depending on how they line up on defense. And that time, if it was a check, it was the wrong check.
Drive started back at the 27. Bearcats try to keep it alive, and on 3rd and 9, low snap for Kenner. A stunt from the front. Available. Grab is made. Will it stand? Van got a foot down to the 25. Had to wait to see if they would give him the catch, and he did get 1 foot down. Will Hunter on the coverage, and what a grab by Van.
Well, we talked about the confidence of Deontay Kenner ebbing in the game. It looks like it's back now. As he comes over, he has got good protection, but he's going to throw this ball on the flat run. He doesn't stop. And look where it hits with pinpoint accuracy. Right there on the sideline, just in time for only 1 foot of Ladarius Van to get down. Take a look at how close to the sideline this ball is. And that is right on the dead run. His left foot was just barely in.
McCleskey stays in the backfield on 1st down. McCleskey struggling his way for an extra yard or 2. It's funny the way things work. Now, Joe Daniels, the offensive coordinator for the Bearcats, told us again yesterday, Deontay Kenner is a pure pocket passer. That's all he's ever been in football as a quarterback. He could probably play no other position. And then when we talked to the defensive coordinator, De Leon, for the Syracuse Orangemen, he also said, we see the guy as a better passer in the pocket, not outside. The last 2 games, we've seen Kenner do his best work on the run on the edge.
You know why I think that is because when you're on the run, you're not thinking about what you have to do. When you're on the run, you just do it.
So now 2nd and long after a gain of only a couple. Going to be 2nd and almost 8. Kenner this time with time. Ashley Hunt's available, and he's got the first down inside the 14. Second grab of the game, and in the half for Hunt. Just got it on the hip of the defensive back, Keon Walker.
Well, that's a good matchup, again, with Deontay Kenner. Keon Walker is in for the injured Quentin Harris, backup free safety. And so Deontay Kenner gets his starting tight end out there man for man and is able to use that big body to make the catch.
Great grab by Hunt because it was low and behind him, and he still scooped it up.
That's what happens when you have a wide body against a narrow body. You can still reach back and get it.
From the 14, 1st down. Collins Baker sets up trips on the wide side of the field. Collins Baker into the corner though for Schmeichel, overthrown. Well, let's go to our College Football Saturday studio now for an update with Kevin Frazier. Kevin, what's the latest? All right, Kevin, I don't think anybody thought it would be that close for the Fighting Irish.
Give Notre Dame credit. This may be a loss for them that'll move them up in the polls. Nebraska ranked number 1.
2nd and 10. The numbers in the red zone. It's McCleskey. Bounced outside. Then knocked out of bounds. That'll stop it with the ball at the 11. Just about 2.5 minutes gone in the fourth quarter. Moreland Greenwood with a great lateral pursuit down the line for the Orangemen.
Well, this is what Paul Pasquale said before the game, that he thought that Cincinnati was a top 25 caliber team. you've got Syracuse that comes in ranked 24, and a lot of people didn't give Cincinnati credit for being able to play Syracuse close. But here we are in the fourth quarter going in for the tying touchdown potentially.
The drive started all the way back at the Cincinnati 27. This is the 13th play coming up. Kenner sends Van in motion, who had the big grab to keep it alive with the previous. Van again, and he just shot it way high and hard for a guy only about 4 or 5 yards away from him. No touch at all on the pass from Deontay Kenner.
Yeah, if Deontay would have thrown that to Ladarius Van out in the street, he would have been arrested for assault. That ball was just drilled in there.
Frustration for Rick Minter and his squad. Now can Ruffin come through? He was well short their last possession from 42 yards away. He hit from 20, 26, and 30 yards out against Army. Capolo is the holder. It is going to be a 28-yard attempt. It's up, and it's good. And the Bearcats are finally on the board. 28-yard field goal by Ruffin. 12:38 left in regulation. Syracuse gets it back when we return. Can they answer the Bearcats challenge? We'll find out on Fox Sports Net.
Welcome back once again to the campus of the University of Cincinnati. Tied affair, Big East Conference USA 7-3 right now. Syracuse thought we'd have a shootout this afternoon with these two offensive units, but the defenses continue to dominate.
Well, Syracuse could do anything they wanted last week against Buffalo. They scored 63 points in the game, 35 in the first half, and here we are in the fourth quarter. They've got a single touchdown on the board, and Cincinnati one score away from taking the lead.
So now Cincinnati has Wolford kicking it away. And the short one taking a hop away from the Orangeman. Woodcock, the veteran wide receiver with a heads-up play. The senior just covered the football. And now they're saying, no, he didn't. It was taken away. Believe it or not. Bearcats come up with the football.
Well, Syracuse has got to be wondering what on earth is happening to him in Cincinnati today.
Down there was Lewis Carter for Cincinnati.
Let's take a look what happens. That's a live ball now. And Woodcock is trying to make the... Now, if he doesn't possess it, then it can be taken away from him. And so the call is that while he was over the ball, he didn't possess it. Let's see if Woodcock has the ball in his grip. If he does, then as soon as he's touched by Carter, it's dead. If he does not, then it's still live.
Bearcats have it now at the Syracuse 25. Jackson goes nowhere. Hangs on to the football, though, taking a serious shot right up the middle from Clifton Smith and Duke Pettijohn.
Well, Jackson had a hole that was a little bit farther to the left. Instead, he hit it up inside where everybody was being blocked. But right now, a field goal or a touchdown will help Cincinnati. Obviously, they want that touchdown. But they have struggled, Cincinnati has, in the red zone last year. Did much better against Army. As we see, the turnovers have equalized now. This is where the score needs to equalize for Cincinnati, just as the turnovers have.
Empty backfield for Kenner. 5 wide receivers set up because he's got Jackson on the wide side of the field in the slot. There's the one you just circled. That is Ray Jackson. Kenner going for Baker. Interesting. He had an inside edge if he throws a little bullet pass. Instead, he tries to loft it in the corner, and it's not close. And he had so much space between himself and Will Allen.
Well, that's a good job by Will Allen reading the pattern. He knew that Collins Baker wanted to get to that corner, and that's why Deontay Kenner threw it out there. But Will Allen interposed his body between Collins Baker and the corner, so Baker couldn't get out there.
Well, so often, Trevor, we talk about side adjustments. No side adjustment there, Cincinnati offensively. On third down, Bearcats a dismal 4 of 13. Give Syracuse credit. They've stuffed them all day long. This is a 3rd and 10. Jackson will stay in the backfield for a little extra help. Kenner with the blitz coming is hit as he releases it. They're going to say his arm was moving forward, and that is a break. At least they can try another field goal. LaTroy Oliver coming in off the edge, right in the small of the back of Deontay Kenner.
Well, they did this once earlier with the corner blitz with LaTroy Oliver. This is something that they don't show very much. Both times Deontay Kenner was not ready for it.
Now that's what we talk about, adjusting up at the line. A senior quarterback, Ruffin, missed from 42 where he's attempting once again. He hit his 28-yarder to put him on the board in the last series. Capolo is the holder. Clean exchange, gets into it. Can he bend it in? Yes, just barely. Ruffin's got it from 42, and we've got a 1-point ball game. When we come back, Kevin and Frazier is going to be back with a preview of our post-game report right after this. 1-point ball game as Ruffin puts the Bearcats back into the contest. Plenty of time, 11:33 remaining. Kevin, can't get enough football today on Fox Sports Now. Fox Sports Net bringing you a quadruple header. And game 2, well, as tight as we expected, but we thought it would be more like 28-27, not 7-6. Syracuse leads by 1. Wolfick bombs it away. From the 5, over to the left side, big hole. Opportunity is there for the Orangemen. And what a return across the midfield stripe. Bringing it back for Syracuse. Pat Woodcock, who had it taken away the last time. You saw him clutch it with 2 hands this time.
Cincinnati's coverage got over exuberant. Woodcock starts to his left and then just bursts up through a huge hole. And it's Jason Mammarelli, number 15, the kicker, that slows him down enough for the cavalry to arrive to make that tackle.
So Woodcock sets him up in great shape. 11:21 left in the contest. Mungro in the eye. Behind Scott. Nunes, pretty play fake. Buys some time on the edge. And throws where it looked like it was going to be picked. It's taken in. What a grab by Tyree. Gary Ruff probably thought he had a pick coming his way.
Well, most of the time in this play, you hit the tight end on the short cross. This is a play action to the left. He rolls back out to the right. Now he's got number 89, Graham Manley, right there, but instead he goes deep to the deep crossing route, and Gary Ruff just drills him. This is a safety's dream to catch a crossing route like this. Boom! But he not only holds onto the ball, he stays up.
Looked like a hip pointer waiting to happen where he caught him. First down, what a grab. Mungro, good blocking. Dives inside the 30, all the way down to that 28. 3 yards and a tough 3. Went atop DeJuan Gossett, the free safety.
And
So
Joel,
the big return sets up the field position.
the big return is critical because Syracuse has good total yardage, but they're getting it in small chunks for the most part. But they've started from deep in their own territory. This time they start at midfield. They're already in scoring position.
Well, at least in field goal position, one more first down away from that. And if they can't get into the end zone, at least they make it more than a field goal difference. Syracuse has led every step of the way. D. Brown dancing inside the 25 to the 24. What a huge third down coming up for both sides, especially the Cincinnati defense. Willis Edwards made the stop. He's subbing for the man who makes all the calls, one of the real leaders, Eddie Johnson, the little middle linebacker. Cincinnati tried to knock off a ranked opponent. The last time they faced a ranked opponent, number 18 in the nation, Wisconsin. Pasqualoni paces on the Syracuse sideline. Minner, former defensive coordinator, wants his squad to come up big again, and they are a thin squad at that. Missing key components. On 3rd and less than 3, Nunes has it deflected, intercepted. Believe it or not, it's picked off. Coming up with it, Willis Edwards, who's doing a whale of a job filling in for Eddie Johnson, and we have a flag at the end of the play. Could be a personal foul after the pick. Troy Evans may have been the one to get his hand up and deflect it. Now, if it is a personal foul against Syracuse, huge shift in field position. Or will it be a dead ball personal foul against Cincinnati after the interception? Another turnover for the Orangemen.
Dead ball, personal foul against Cincinnati. Half the distance, first down.
So it was against the Bearcats and negates solid field position. It'll take them back to their own 11-yard line.
Listen to that aggressive defense. Let's see who gets this tip. Oh, it's number 99. That's Ransom. And Willis Edwards comes down with that. He's unblocked, is Daryl Ransom. Yep, and Willis Edwards is in the right place. That's one thing to worry about when you've got a new middle linebacker in there. Will he be in the right spot? He was in exactly the right spot on that play.
Daryl Ransom, the sophomore from Indianapolis, with the play. His older brother Derek plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. Kenner out of the gun. It's Ray Jackson trying to get the kick-out block. Be your own blocker. He's got a first down. He took him on. We talked about both these guys, McCleskey and Jackson. They're not finesse guys. They'll run you over.
They will, and Ray Jackson's the kind of guy that would rather run you over even if he has the opportunity to juke you. Coming down from Michigan, he's got that Big Ten mentality. Put your head down and run over. Now, number 9 is Clifton Smith, the middle linebacker, and he has a pretty good shot, but Jackson runs right through him, and right there, he gets hit by the safety. That's Charles Burton, and knocks him right off of his pads.
A little more than 9 minutes left. First down, Bearcats as they trail by a point. It's a tough day for Conference USA earlier against the Big East. Army and Boston College. Jackson with a shovel pitch. Dropped after a gain of only a yard. Ricky Simpkins on that hit. Willis Edwards subbing for Eddie Johnson with that pick. Special teams have been a factor as well, Trevor.
They have. They get this block kick, and that's why they're within 1 right now. And then they've got this play where the ref said that Woodcock never possessed that ball, and Lewis Carter comes in and steals it away. That led to a field goal, and we're now 1 point difference with 8:46 to go in the fourth quarter.
Injury timeout. It's not going to be charged to either side. In fact, both teams with all 3 timeouts remaining. Injured Orangeman down. 8:46 remaining in a 1-point ball game. College football on Fox Sports Net has been brought to you by WebMD, the healthcare destination for you and your doctor. Riverfront Stadium along the banks of the Ohio, and just down the street, the brand new stadium for the Bengals. What a dominant team they have been in the past decade to warrant a brand new stadium.
You know, the people are saying that they might be about the 4th best team in the state of Ohio. They're looking to improve a lot this year, though. There's high hopes in Cincinnati.
2nd and 9 after the injury timeout. It's Ray Jackson looking for a kick out. He wouldn't go down with the first man, though. Jackson just won't quit. Former Wolverine who had to sit out last season. Got his first college touchdown in the win over Army last week. A 37-yarder is ripped down by Duke Pettijohn. Jackson did it all on his own. Rick Minner wanted a late hit on Syracuse. Won't get the call instead. They'll get ready for a critical 3rd down with 8 minutes to play, trailing by a point. Kenner just hasn't been in rhythm today throwing the football.
No, he hasn't. He's not had the confidence in his arm, and part of that is because Syracuse is running the field so fast that he's afraid that, it seems like he's afraid that if he doesn't throw it low, it'll get picked off. Unfortunately, it's been too low.
Passing situation on 3rd and 6. Time for Kenner. Finds Ladarius Van, and he breaks the tackle, believe it or not, as they try to strip the football. Van still on his feet with blockers. What a run by Ladarius Van. In traffic initially, maybe a 6-7 yard throw, partner. It goes for 37.
Cincinnati has been wanting this to happen for the last 2 years. And this is the first time that I've seen them play in the last 2 years that they've broken that many tackles on a catch and run.
We'd like to welcome those of you just joining us on our Conference USA Big East matchup. A tight affair. Joel Myers, Trevor Matich in Cincinnati. First down, Kenner inside. McCleskey waits for the block and gets it. Runs over the safety. He's got another first down inside the 22. Syracuse, for those of you just checking in with us, Syracuse has trailed or has led every step of the way.
Take a look at the coaching here. Sean Murphy, left tackle, square shoulders. Look how square he is. And McCleskey waits for him to deliver that block. When the game is on the line in the fourth quarter, Joel, a lot of players, look at those square shoulders. A lot of players will forget their coaching. This veteran offensive line is going back to their technique, and that's why that play worked.
Inside the 22. First down on the run of 16 by McCleskey. Try it again, forget it. The lineman jumping on the back. And the first one in there was Ricky Simpkins at 6'3", 300 pounds, a senior from New York. So no gain, in fact, a loss of a yard. But the key play, 3rd down and 6, Trevor.
Well, Ladarius Van takes a short catch, and he is tackled here for short of the first down by Will Hunter, but Will Hunter can't get him down. Ladarius Van refuses to go down, and that is Will Allen, the top cornerback in the country, one of the top ones. He breaks a tackle there and continues on. That's an inspirational run, and one long overdue for Cincinnati's offense.
Approaching the 6-minute mark. Talk about those big plays. 12 or more, 18 or more. Play fake, Kenner, the tight end Hunt to the 20. Head over heels. What a play by Will Allen. When it looked like an automatic first down, Allen, the only one on the perimeter, comes up big.
Well, Antonio Chapman went deep, and all the defense went with him to prevent that long touchdown. Somebody forgot to cover the tight end Ashley Hunt. This is just a typical play-action bootleg. They're going to fake this way and watch Ashley Hunt and see what he does. The fake to the left, Ashley Hunt blocks, and then he just comes back around. The guy covering them there, number 3, LaTroy Oliver, bites on the play fake. That's how we got the separation.
3rd and 4. Don't forget, it's only a 1-point game. Field goal would give Cincinnati their first lead. 3rd and 4 from the 16 of Syracuse. Kenner underneath, not enough. Van was there. Didn't look downfield for the first down or more. Keon Walker right on his back, but Van had to go down to get it anyway. So it is going to be up to the Conference USA Special Teams Player of the Week in the opener. And what a struggle it was for Jonathan Ruff in his freshman season. He's only 5 of 12. His coaches told us his dad died about 6 months before the season began, and he was just psychologically, physically not ready. Well, his sophomore season has begun with a bang. Now can he give him the lead from 32 yards away? Yes, he does. Cincinnati has their first lead of the afternoon, and it comes with 4:37 remaining. Jonathan Ruffin, 3 for 4 on the afternoon. He has accounted for all the points for Conference USA's Cincinnati Bearcats. 9-7, Cincinnati by a deuce. 4:37 left. And welcome back to the campus of the Bearcats. Ruffin with confidence this year as opposed to last season.
It's a perfect snap, a perfect hold, and I'd love to see this from Jonathan Ruffin, Joel. Last year he opened 4 for 5, then he missed a chip shot field goal up at the Horseshoe at Ohio State and went 1 for 7 after that. Just lost it mentally, went back to his technique, went back to what got him here to begin with, and all of a sudden he is back in rhythm, and I'm so glad to see it. Just for the kid.
Mammarelli from Hollywood, Florida will kick it away once again. Jackson over to the near side. Woodcock over to the far side. Huge special teams play now as it's bombed away over the head of the 2. Well, Mammarelli did that a couple of times against Army last week. Went with the low-line drive and got it deep. And that put Syracuse in a huge hole back at their own 20-yard line. Now, how does their sophomore quarterback, Troy Nunes, respond to that pressure?
Troy Nunes has got to execute this offense. He's got to get the ball to the people that aren't being defended. That's why he won the job, Joel, because they felt he was bright enough to be able to do that effectively. He did it better than any other quarterback over spring and through fall camp. And now he's got to show that he's ready for prime time.
Nunes has Malik Campbell come over to the near side, doubles up. Woodcock over to the far side. With Jackson in the eye. Nunes coming back to Campbell. Campbell gets the block to the outside, but not much more to the 25-26. And that is it. A gain of 6 with the clock moving. Well, the NFL this morning returns tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on Fox Sports Net. Chris Myers, Jackie Slater-Marv, leaving Chris Gilman to deliver the latest news, injuries, weather as they close in on kickoff. Expert analysis as well from John Madden, Matt Millen, Jerry Bradshaw, Howie Long, and Rick Collinsworth. NFL This Morning, tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, only on Fox Sports Net. The game has turned around as the Cincinnati offense has come alive. Nunes finds some time on the play fake. Back he goes. Malik Campbell coming back for it. The junior from Buffalo gives him a first down across the 43.
D. Brown throws an excellent block on Antoine Peak that allows Nunes the freedom. Look at number 6, D. Brown to the right. He knocks down Antoine Peak, who's just getting up, and all that space now is available for Nunes to go out and wait for his receiver, Malik Campbell, to find an open spot in the zone. Great block by D. Brown.
3:40 and counting. All 3 timeouts on the board for Syracuse, just like Cincinnati. Nunes on the play fake again. Out to the tight end. Nothing there. Evans wrapping him up immediately. It's a gain for Manley of about, well, they give him 3, call it 3, almost 4, across the 46.
Well, Joel, talking to Cincinnati's defensive players and coaches before the game, they said they wanted Nunes to have to beat them with his arm, not to have the running game beat them on the ground. Well, now, with 3 minutes and 7 seconds to go, they have exactly what they want. Can they stop Nunes' arm?
D. Brown sets up at the fullback position, audibilizing, talking to Mungro at the tailback spot as well. 2nd and 6. Mungro, can he get out of the backfield? Yes. Barging his way out of the backfield. Big yardage. Does it look like he lost a hip pad? And then he is stopped right at the 49, bringing up a 3rd and 4. But like Ray Jackson, we've seen that before. He was his own blocker.
Well, he audible to the run because there were too many guys out of the box. They came back in and stuffed up the middle. There's nowhere to run here. He stopped. But look at the sustaining block by D. Brown. Another tremendous enabling block. 2 in a row.
3rd down of the day for both sides. 9-7 Cincinnati. 3rd and 4 from the 49 of the Orangemen. Woodcock's the motion man for Nunes. Pressure on the quarterback. It holds up over the middle, and it's complete for the first down. It went to the tight end, Graham Manley, the junior from Albany, Maryland. He came in with only 1 career catch to start the season. He was a great wrestler as a freshman. In fact, had an 18-5 record for the Orangemen wrestling team. So we know he can get the job done down in the trenches.
Well, he wrestled that ball down that time. Found a hole in the zone, and once that ball got into his hands, no one was going to strip it out. Very powerful arms.
Minute 55 and counting. Nunes calling the play at the line. He told us yesterday 2 or 3 checks at least every 1st and 2nd down. It's D. Brown. And he's shut down inside the 38. Derek Adams stopping the running back, and Syracuse is going to use their first second-half timeout.
Now, Joel, remember that Syracuse place kicker, Mike Schaefer, up until today had never even attempted a field goal in college football. And today, the one he attempted was blocked. And his range is only about 35 to 40 yards. And so Syracuse has got to get the ball down close enough for him to have a good shot at this.
His only attempt, as you mentioned, blocked in the second half by Peak. First half, their first possession, he hooked that 39-yarder badly. So the spotlight could be on Schaefer before it's all over. Possible upset in the making as they shift Manley the tight end. 9-7 Bearcats, minute 41 to play. Syracuse with 2 timeouts left. Nunes, play fake on the counter. Buys time, goes deep down the middle, looking for Woodcock. Woodcock, does he hold on? No! In and out, into double coverage. Getting there, LeVar Glover along with Gary Ruff simultaneously.
So we have had outstanding play by the cover cornerbacks. We've seen Will Allen on Syracuse side strip the ball that would have been a couple of long pass plays. Here, LeVar Glover on Pat Woodcock does the same thing. This ball's in there. That ball's caught. But Glover strips it out, saves the touchdown.
3rd and a long 7. Nunes thought he had the score. Instead, he's looking at 3rd and long and out of field goal range. They don't pick up a yard. They'll have to go for it on 4th down. 209 yards passing. He's been picked off twice. They're only 4 of 13 on 3rd down attempts. Pocket holds up well for Nunes. Now it collapses. The tight end hangs on. And he's got the first down to the 25, cradling the football that almost crawled down his body.
Now, Joel, they're about 2 to 3 yards away from the maximum effective range that Mike Schaefer has shown in practice. They've got to get it down to where it's inside of a 40-yard field goal. Now, this is good patience. This is one of the things you've got with a quarterback that can move in the pocket. And he hits his tight end. He almost drops that ball.
I think it was a toe save, at least a knee save. First down. Heat on Nunes, gets rid of it, and throws it over the head of the intended target. He had Woodcock on that side. He took a pop at the end of the last play. He's back on the flat. He's flat on his back again. And give the guy credit for tons of guts out there.
Tell you what, that work he did in the weight room to bulk himself up 20, 25 pounds is what saved him today. The touchdown that he scored was due to the extra strength that he's gotten right now. He's hurting, and you can tell.
Yes.
He's got the wind knocked out of him, and if it weren't for that extra physical bulk that he's got, who knows if he'd be able to continue here.
Well, the gamble paid off last time for Rick Minter's squad, and Rick Smith, as defensive coordinator, the extra pressure got to Nunes. Let's see if they go with it again. Oh, they play it straight up. 2nd and 10 for the 25, 67 seconds. They run the option. Nunes hit from behind and spun down, catching up Derek Adams. They'll stop the clock once again inside the 21, but this time it's going to be a timeout called by Cincinnati with an injured Bearcat down in the secondary. And it may be Anthony Thomas. And now they've changed it. They call Syracuse on the timeout. Well, Nunes needed a break. We saw him take 2 pops. He has just got to be gassed after what he's been through in this last series. The drive started back on their own 20-yard line. So they look at the defensive back for the Bearcats, and we remind you, coming up next on Fox Sports Net College Football Saturday, it's going to be Wyoming, Texas A&M. Ron Thurman, James Lofton, Eric Clemens ready to bring it your way. All part of Fox Sports Net College Football Saturday's quadruple header right here. Fox Sports Net, then stay with us. What a matchup later tonight in the Arizona desert. Arizona down in Tucson, playing host to a top 20 team, the Buckeyes of Ohio State. Let's look back on the play down to the secondary.
Let's see what happened with Anthony Thomas. I don't really think anybody hit him here. He just got good tight coverage on Woodcock. It looks like he just pulled up. Wow. Look at his right leg.
Cramping up maybe the way he grabbed the back of his calf?
You know, I really hope it is, because it didn't look like there was any pressure on him at the time.
And that is a huge loss with a big 3rd down coming up. The turning point of the contest, the deflection and the interception. Willis came up with it. Willis Edwards, Darrell Ransom got a piece of it. And then the big grab offensively on 3rd and 6 to set up the go-ahead field goal. Ladarius Van, co-conference freshman of the year last season, 37 grabs, a new Bearcat record. It was the yards after the catch, and Ruffin Thing came through in the clutch with the 32-yard field goal. So now it's up to Troy Nunes, who started 6 times last year, beat out but D. Williams, a junior from Pittsburgh, who he alternated with last year for the starting position.
And Joel, this is critical. Their best cover cornerback, Anthony Thomas, is out, along with their starting strong safety, Freddie Smith. It's a depleted defensive backfield to face this play.
11th play of the drive. 3rd and 6 from the 21. They're in field goal range. And they take it just inside the 20. D. Brown down to the 19. Let's see where they spot it, because it's going to be a field goal attempt, you'd have to think, coming up for Mike Schaefer. He's 0 for 2 so far this afternoon. We remind you the executive producers of Fox Sports Net, Arthur Smith and Bill Borson. Coordinating producers of College Football Saturday, Roy Hamilton and Gary Garcia, as a timeout has been called. And the Bearcats use their first of 3. Our broadcast today produced by Tom Hewitt, our director Ned Tate. College Football Saturday studio show produced by Loy Maxon and directed by Joe Woitis. So someone who has not been in this position before, Trevor, Mike Schaefer, 0 for 2, the sophomore from Sarasota, Florida. Now, 2 years ago, as a senior at Riverview High School in Sarasota, he hit 2 54-yard field goals. But we saw him hook one badly from 39 and then try a real low-line drive from 42.
And I think most importantly in practice, his maximum effective range has been 35 to 40 yards. This is going to be about a 35, 36-yard field goal attempt. And Joel, that's only slightly shorter than the one that got blocked. And the one that got blocked did because in trying to extend his range, Mike Schaefer kicked that ball low into the blockers. So let's see what happens here with a relatively long field goal. What's going on in that kid's head right now?
It'll be a 35-yard attempt, as you mentioned, to give Syracuse the lead. 47 seconds left. They did block that attempt we were talking about. A little more than 42 yards away. It was Peck who got up and got it. Can Syracuse take the lead? It's back and it's down on its way. And it's good. The Orangemen have the advantage again. Schaefer comes through in the clutch.
Joel, we asked what was going on through his head before that play. Whatever it was, that field goal would have been good from another 15 yards back. He absolutely hit that dead solid Tiger Woods perfect.
A 1-point lead as we look back on it.
He's got good elevation, and look how far this thing carries. That'd have been good from a lot farther than that.
Starting to hook. He made it safe, though, inside the upright. So Schaefer celebrates. Paul Pasqualoni. I knew he had it all the time. And Rick Minter, opposite end of the spectrum. 2 timeouts left. He's already thinking, what do we have to do offensively? 43 seconds on the board. His place kicker just gave him a lead from 32 yards away. Ruffin has already hit a 42-yarder today. Ruffin's 3 of 4.
That jersey is not off because he hit somebody. It's off because his teammates have been mobbing him.
Chapman could give them field position, but can Kozik kick it right for the end zone? Ben Kozik handling the kickoff duties today after Pete Ferris got the call last week. The junior from Adams, Massachusetts, ready to get into it. Chapman, senior from Los Angeles, flanked by Jackson and McCluskey in case it's a little bit short. Kozik bombs away a beauty. It'll be Chapman from the goal line. What kind of field position? Chapman breaks the tackle. Chapman stays on his feet and almost busted it, hanging onto the football past the 24. Ron Thulin, James Lofton, Eric Clemens standing by. College Football Saturday on Fox Sports Net continues at the conclusion of our contest in Cincinnati, Wyoming, taking on the Aggies at Texas A&M. So stick around. That is game 3 of our quadruple header. 37 seconds left. Do the Bearcats get into field goal position? Kenner working out of the spread. Double pumps. Chapman drops it. Maybe better that he didn't hang on to it because he wasn't going to get to the boundary. It has been a tough day for Deontay Kenner. Thanks for our help from our entire crew: Brett Smith, Jonathan Evans, Gary Nicholas, Mitch Rubenstein, Jason Martin, Lindsey Paulette, Tom Thomas, Lenny Van Gilder, Janet Hainberg, and personnel services from Rich Spector. Now 2nd and 10 from the 24. Kenner with time, and it's deflected and batted up into the air. The big play made by Duke Pennajon. He timed it perfectly at 6'2", 265, the senior from Mattapan, Massachusetts.
Well, with 29 seconds to go, what they were trying to do on both of those plays was throw it short into the flat and hope the receiver could either get out of bounds or break a tackle, but that means that those defensive ends have their hands right up in the passing lanes.
3rd and 10 for the 24. They have not looked downfield on either of the first 2 attempts, and I talked about what a struggle it's been for Kenner. 13 of 31 over the middle. Chapman, he's got the first down. That'll stop the clock for the movement of the chains at the 39. Still 2 timeouts on the board for Cincinnati. 23 seconds remaining, and Cincinnati is going to use a timeout.
See, that was a smart move. They went right to the middle where free safety Quentin Harris is injured, trying to exploit a hole in that zone coverage, and they found one.
So Cincinnati down to their final timeout. They've got to hang on to that one in case the ball is in the middle of the field, and they need to get their placement unit on. Well, it's surprising they didn't come up, though, and spike it on first down. Instead, using the timeout because the clock was stopped until they got to the line. Maybe spike it. Maybe 20 seconds remaining.
You know, that's a pretty advanced thing to do with this much time to go, and probably the coach didn't talk to Kenner about that. It was either call a timeout or run the play, and I think they opted to call the timeout so that they could make sure that they had all the resources they could mustered ready to go. 23 seconds to go, one timeout left, and all they need is a field goal. Jonathan Ruffin has been hot the first 2 weeks of the season.
But still, they need to get it close to the 30-yard line to make it feasible. Ruffin's already been short today from 42. He's hit from 42. As you can see what they've done over the last 12. Less than 30. Ground game's working. They're perfect. 0-8, though, when they have to depend upon 30 or more passes. And 32 today.
And Joel, this is where having such an athletic defensive line helps them. They can rush 4 and put pressure on the quarterback, dropping 7 back to keep the big play from happening after the catch.
Our College Football Saturday studio show will come up a little bit later. Trying to work the sideline. Chapman gets out of bounds. Only took 5 seconds off the clock with a 44. But still, in looking at the field, you've got to get about 25 more yards to get Ruffin within range, and that'd be about a 47, 48-yard attempt.
And they've got to work the sidelines because they want to save that timeout for a completion over the middle, call timeout for the field goal attempt.
Unless you could go deep enough over the middle and then spike the ball. From the 44, 18 seconds left. Cincinnati down by a point. They have been kept out of the end zone by the Syracuse defensive unit. Kenner in trouble. Chapman's there. It's deflected and almost intercepted. What a collision, though, between Chapman and the defensive back, Charles Burton. Both getting up slowly.
Well, Kenner drilled that ball in there at the very last second. He had a rusher coming in on his blind side. Did the only thing he could do was give his receiver a chance to make a play.
I think you now need, with one timeout remaining, to use the deep middle portion of the field. You don't have to stay on the sideline because you've really only got about 2 snaps left max, if that. Kenner spreads him out with an empty backfield, only a 3-man rush for Syracuse. Kenner over the middle, it's complete. Jackson's got to get down, and does. They'll stop the clock and get one last try to win it. They got to where I said they needed to go to be realistic, the 30-yard line. And when I said Jackson's got to get down, sometimes you can break tackles and it hurts your team more than it helps your team because you run out the clock.
Well, there's a big difference between 5 seconds and 7 seconds to go. With 7 seconds, you can run one play and try to get 5 yards closer. With 5 seconds, you can't risk it. But who would have thought that Cincinnati would be kicking a field goal to win the game against Syracuse with 5 seconds to go?
And it's
certainly
not
Syracuse
going to
did.
be Jonathan Ruffin, who missed and was short from 42. Instead, their kickoff specialist, Jason Mammarelli, the senior from Hollywood, Florida. Now, we saw what he can do. He bombed it through the end zone. But it was also a low-line drive. If that occurs, it's blocked in the middle of the line like we saw Antoine peek to it for the Bearcats earlier today. And Syracuse is going to try to freeze him.
Now here's what Ruffin,
by using a timeout.
Excuse me. Here's what Mammarelli should do now. He should come off the field, Joel, and this is why. The rhythm that kickers are used to is to run from the sideline, set up, break the huddle, kick the ball. They're not used to standing out there for a while like Mammarelli is doing now. I learned this from some great kickers in the NFL that I snapped for. They said that whenever there was a timeout, they always came back off the field, and when time was back in, they ran back out with the team to keep the rhythm the same.
Jason Mammarelli 0 for 4. Last year he tried 2. He missed both from 41 and 39 yards away. His only 2 of the year before from 57 yards out. Not very realistic, but this much more attainable. It is going to be, where will they put it down? It should be in the neighborhood of about a 47-yard attempt. Bob Capolo will spot it, the senior from Lowville, Ohio. And this for the win for Cincinnati, trying to shock a top 25 team at home for the second consecutive season. Biggest kick of the senior's career. Jason Mammarelli for the win. It's up. He's got the distance. What about the direction? It's good. It's over. Cincinnati has done it again. The first field goal in the career of Jason Mammarelli, a senior from Hollywood, Florida, is a winner for Rick Minner and the Bearcats. Well, he's a senior. I don't think he'll have to reach into his wallet tonight.
You talk about a personal highlight film. The thrill of this kid right now. This is something, Joel, that's a once-in-a-lifetime moment. Look at the joy on his face. All the work he's done, all the football he's played, leading to this moment. And, you know, for most people, this is the absolute pinnacle peak of anything they'll ever do in their life athletically.
What is it that brings out the best in the Bearcats when they face a quality non-conference opponent, but it doesn't equate to Conference USA season over the last 2 years? Another look. And it had room to spare. You talk about dead solid down the middle. And Mammarelli, he knew it.
That's the I'm the king of the world Titanic pose.
A huge win for a program that definitely needed it after a 3-8 season. 0 for the conference last year. And what a pick-me-up for the entire conference after what happened over the last couple of weeks. And in particular on Thursday night at East Carolina.
Don't forget the Bearcats.
Joel, one thing I love about this program is on the field right now, the fans have come onto the field and they share that experience. In great victories, they let the fans come down to the field and mingle with the players, and they make it something that the whole university can share together and enjoy. And in the middle of that big crowd, you've got that football team. And in the middle of that football team, you have a kid named Jason Mammarelli who is experiencing extreme joy right now.
Well, we picked up on Coach Minner on the sideline. This just moments before the field goal attempt to win it by 2.
Well, sports fans, here we are on a Saturday afternoon.
Well, he sounded pretty calm to me. In fact, I think he's got a future in the booth later. So a 2-point win for the Bearcats. Our final score, Cincinnati 12, Syracuse 10. Well, coming up on Fox Sports Net, Wyoming is going to be matching up with Texas A&M. That's going to be game 3 of our quadruple header. College Football Saturday has been a presentation of Fox Sports Net. We are going to also have our College Football Saturday studio coming up. Our game report with Kevin, Kellen, and Artie.